Shoot, that was quick. Okay, I guess I'm restarting this one. Did an hour live already. I didn't do anything but blab, so the other one's not even worth watching. I'm gonna put my stuff on mute so I can finish eating my apple. Hello, apple. I guess Pierre's brought apples back. That was a really it was such a good interview. He was just crushing it, right? I did something like that too. I was just so hungry I did a live one. But the conservatives, I'm gonna look at some polling. Let's see what's happening here. Pete Hegseth? Nothing. They're doing quorum. They're getting their Senate butts in the seat. So. Damn, it's one damn good apple. The Liberal leadership race. Let's see if there's anything happening with that. X. Because they're just waiting around. Like, look at that young. Well, you can't see it. All right. I'm not even following Ford, huh? All right, see if Doug Ford has anything. He has 700,000 followers. A minute ago, oh my God, is that who I think it is? No, it isn't. A Babber? Is that Babber? It is. Someone else. Okay. Bramton is one of the fastest growing cities, and its residents deserve world-class convenient transit. That's why today I committed to a tunneled expansion of the Hazel McCallion line into downtown Bramton. Tens of thousands of commuters get around fast. That's huge. Actually, a big tunnel down to Bramton. Wow. The Hazel McCallion line. McCallion. McCall-ion. I owe the place, man. That's awesome. Bramton is getting a big boom. That's a big boost. Ford is room. Okay, I gotta put this aside. Ah! Drop my apple. 1, 2, 3. I don't care if it's past the 10-second rule. Wait, no. Ford has a super majority. Oh wait, is this popping up? Okay, it's not even popping up. Okay, yeah. Here's Doug Ford. Oh, Dougie. Oh, Dougie. Dougie was doing this is just a minute ago, like 20 minutes ago. So breaking news. It's in the news.ontario release. Let's click it. Government. Okay, cool. So the province is moving forward with a working extension of a downtown Bramton and Mississauga. The Ontario government is moving forward with work to extend the Hazel McCallion line into downtown Bramton and Mississauga, and plans to tunnel the Bramton portion of the segment. The underground extension in downtown Bramton would connect the Hazel McCallion line to the heart of Canada's fastest growing cities, providing more people with fast, affordable, reliable transit. By tunneling the Hazel McCallion line, three's a charm, into the downtown Bramton, we're helping tens of thousands of daily riders connect seamlessly to a world-class transit that will extend across the region, said Premier Doug Ford. As we continue to build the Hazel McCallion line, expanding GO service and building new roads and highways in the region, including Highway 413, we're helping Bramton residents get where they need to go quickly and conveniently. So that's a big bonus. That Brampton's getting a big bonus. I'm a huge believer in mass transit. And there's like people that say, well, if you push mass transit, you're going to hurt like the auto industry. No. People are going to take mass transit, and they're still going to buy a car. It's just the nature of the people of people. The one day they'll need the car out of the year, and they'll buy it. Okay, this idea, that thing, but they'll be able to save the majority of their money. They'll just use the car less. And I knew a guy who didn't use his vehicle. He said, "Oh, I love it. I love this vehicle." We couldn't smoke in it, right? He's like, "Oh, I love it," because his wife drove it most of the time and stuff. But he's like, "Oh, it's the best vehicle." And then when his lease, whatever, came up, this is 1 month later, he's like, "I think we're going to get a new one." I'm like, "You just told me a month ago how much you love this vehicle and how the backup and blah, 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 blah." And it was like, I was just suffering through it when he was telling me about it, politely suffering through it. And but it didn't matter. As soon as his lease was up and he could buy a new one, he bought a new one. But I'm like, "You love this one." He's like, "Yeah, but there's a new one." So like, we've already been pre-marketed. There's no way you're like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to buy a vehicle because I don't need one." Well, the one day you needed it to go shopping, that one time out of the year, people will buy a vehicle. Especially now, you only pay $250 a month. Like, come and deny, right? The next steps will involve detailed planning and design of the Bramton and Mississauga extensions, including an underground tunnel from Bramton Gateway Terminal to downtown Bramton. Metrolinx will study ways to optimize construction and the route's alignment to improve connection to the Bramton Innovation District. Go station and meet the City of Brampton's vision for Main Street and the downtown core. Brampton's really, really fast growing. You know. So he's got Doug Ford. Oh my goodness. Doug Ford has he's talking about he's going to pull the election. So this is a bit of the Sikh vote. I think there's a lot of Sikhs in that area. There's a large portion of temples and stuff like that. Sikhs and other kind of, and the Hindus in that area. So he's like, I think it's a double. I think we have a double. He was probably thinking of it anyway, but announcing it, it's the timing of it is what shows kind of to me it's election-y. He probably was doing it anyway. It's just now he's announcing it because he's about to election. So he's shoring up basically the Bramton vote, the Bramton Mississauga vote. Ford already has a majority, and now he's like, well, we need a bigger majority. He's gonna probably get a bigger majority. Like he's looking for he's looking to break records. Like, look at ours was the best of all time, And hey, all the power to him. I'm in for. I love that when democracy creates a dictator. He's not a dictator, but creates a super powerful vote. That's the best to me. Is democracy lovingly working, right? And it looks like he's probably going to do it. And then with announcements like this, I think this would be one of the areas where he was doing less well in Ford. And this right here is, like he said, and when he says tens of thousands, I think it should have said hundreds of thousands, because the amount of people from Brampton, because it's quite a distance to Tirana, that will be able to now easily transfer back and forth will just be, I think, hundreds of thousands. Both directions a bit too, right? There's some nice big temples out there, and there's some nice country. It's nice hills. I went there by accident one time, and it was like, wow, it's like country and city. It's really nice. And that was before the big boom. As one of the fastest growing cities in our province, Bramton residents deserve access to world-class transit to meet needs of a vibrant, thriving community, said Brambit Sarkaria, Minister of Transportation. Last year, we made a promise to pave the way for a new priority transit extension that will shorten the daily commutes of tens of thousands of people, I think hundreds of thousands of people in Brampton. And we're getting it. Well, tens of thousands in Bramton, and we're getting it done. Okay, so it's a secondary part. Hazel McCallion line extensions to downtown Bramton and Mississauga will offer key connections to GO Transit, Bramton Transit, ZUM, and My Way routes, helping transit riders save time on their commutes and reducing gridlock for drivers. That's a huge problem. The Hazel McCallion line is part of the largest transit expansion in North America, with an investment of nearly $70 billion over the next decade to build and expand public transit to ensure the province has the infrastructure needed to keep goods and people moving. Okay, the reason I like when the Conservatives are in, I want to see large infrastructure projects built because the Conservatives of all the parties, they have less pie in the sky ways and they're more dollars and cents is how they get elected. So their MPs by extension, by default, become all the type of people that watch the dollars and cents. So those are the ones you need in charge of government because we all know it's too easy. And if you work for the government, be like, doesn't matter. It's not my money. And no one freaks out on you. Whereas a boss who owns a company who's saving up for that for that extension on his house is going to be all over you. You know what I mean? That's $500 in my pocket. And maybe they don't yell it, but it's in their head. So they're more on it. This is a transformative moment for Bramton. Yeah, transformative moment for Bramton. This commitment from Premier Ford and the Government of Ontario to fund the extension of the LRT to our city, including a tunneled section into downtown, which is cool, the tunneled section. So it's not like it doesn't affect it. It's truly a game changer and right to downtown. So I love that program. Actually, it was a Liberal program, I think. That was to revitalize the downtowns, and it happened all across Ontario. And downtowns were getting rough and stuff because people were leaving, but they make it look nice. And when you go to a city you've never been to before, you always ended up migrating towards the downtown. So when you go to a downtown and it's all sketchy, you're like, I just don't like this town. And it doesn't matter if there's a nice neighborhood that's on the east end or the west end or the north end or whatever, or somewhere in there. You always, the first time or third times, you always go into the downtown area and you get the feeling of the whole community by the inner city. And we don't really have, our inner cities are beautiful, are nice. And now that they did that, I think I said a Liberal program, but the revitalization was a really good program. And downtown cores as being the center is how you make a town. You know what I mean? It's the spiritual vibes, my opinion. And like the history and all that stuff, it gets all thrown into the mix. And this is a really good project. It's a game changer, said Patrick Brown, Mayor of Bramton. It's a bold step towards shaping the future where Bramton continues to thrive and flourish in a dynamic, modern city. We're excited to work alongside the province to bring this vision to life. Build a better, more connected Bramton generations. Quick facts. Extensions were designated as a priority transit project 2024. So this is for the Faster Act, they called it, to reduce red tape, streamline approval process, and get shovels on the ground sooner, saving taxpayer dollars. That's it. They need to, you're building a transit, no matter what, all in all, it's going to save the environment a little bit. Doesn't matter. Everything else, all these environmental assessment, are you kidding me? What, we don't have already an idea of how to build transit that doesn't hurt the environment? We have to reinvent the wheel and take 3, 4, 5 years for approval. These things need to be eliminated. And I think if you have a government in place that just says, we're just not going to do the approval, it's pre-approved, stamped. I don't know if we can do that. I think that's how it should be done with certain projects. Certain projects should be designated environmentally sane. You're environmentally cleared because we know that you're going to take cars off the road, and maybe there's going to be a wetland that's going to be hurt. We'll try to remediate all these things. But having this huge... Anyway, by 2051, the greater Golden Horseshoe's population expected to grow from 10 million to almost 15 million. I think it'll be a little bit more than that. The Hazel McCallion line extension to downtown Bramton is approximately 4 kilometers. Oh. Province is advancing extensions as a separate project from the main corridor to the Hazel McCallion line, which is currently under construction. Yeah, these things make sense to me. I think they did a good one there. So that's Doug Ford. And that was just an hour ago. So they're doing it's going right downtown. 2 hours ago, tune in for an important announcement. That was important announcement. He went to Mississauga. AstraZeneca. Yeah, that's Ford. That's great. That's what he had going today, and he's going to be calling the election. I'm gonna close this for a second. See what's happening on the floor. There are still of the Senate. They have not done anything. They're still doing quorum call, trying to get the senators in their butts in their seats. Donald Trump today just was in the Hurricane Helene. Ooh, what the heck was that noise? Helen, Helene, North Carolina. It was a really good one. Like he was with regular people and okay, that's good. Oh yeah, it does. Uh huh. What the last one we didn't? I think we got Democrat. Um, I think we have. So Trump did this thing. He was live, and he did a really good job. Regular folks. Oh, I guess I should put this up. Regular folks. Why is it? Where's my picture? Oh, there we go. There's that monkey face. Me. So this is a woman against Mr. Hegseth. Very animated. I'm going to start with that. Um, okay, so there's other things going on today. So Doug Ford, okay, I think we've covered Doug Ford. He's going to be calling an election. He's going to probably get a super duper majority. NDP Styles, she's just new, and Crombie, who seems really nice, but she's just getting her footing together, trying to piece together the Liberal Party of Ontario that's um, basically in shambles, and not from her doing. Um, it's just the case. It's just how it is. Like they were in power for a long time in Ontario, and there was like a couple scandals. Oh, what's this? Trump on Marine One debate. Okay, there's something here. We got something. Um, oops, sorry. Remarks by President Trump before Marine One departure. The South Lawn. So he did this from the lawn. The president. Hello, everybody. Everybody. Hello. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the transcript. So I don't want to read his how he speaks. So we're going to North Carolina. It's been a horrible thing. Yeah, so he went to North Carolina. Thing the way that's been allowed to fester, we're going to get it fixed up. It should have been done months ago from the hurricane that took place almost 4 months. 4 months ago from a hurricane. Wow. North Carolina has been treated very badly, and we're stopping there. So they stopped there. He did a really good interview. It was like in front of this house with a nice tin roof, and like regular people were there. You could tell, you know what I mean? They're regular people, and usually you don't see the president because he's very clean and all this stuff. Type of like, you know what I mean? Because where he is, he's a freaking president, right? He's in all these like clean and perfectly manicured places, and it looked odd to see the president in a podium, the presidential podium, and it's cold. He's got his gloves on. He looks like he's like that. I don't know that Washington look with the wonderful gloves, and he was with regular folks, and they were like, "Thank you, Trump." You could see this one guy. He's holding his he's like in tears, like, "President's here. I fucking love this man." You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make fun of the guy, but kind of am. He was like really, you could see it meant those people that were there just to see him there in the presidential thing with the presidential podium, and I imagine the security detail on steroids, it was like breaking these people's tough, firm hearts. You know what I mean? They're all just like, this is a fucking mess. He didn't have to do anything but show up, and they're like, you know, in happiness, and that's hey, he's leading. Yesterday he was with WEF, and well, he didn't fly to WEF, of course, didn't go to Davos, of course, but he wired in. But today he was with regular folks, and like they were like, "Thank you, President," and he says we're gonna fix it. What did he say? He said, "I mean, I really don't know because it's all going to be there." He said he had one of his head guys, Pete's. Oh, Pete Hegseth lost 2 Republican votes. Are you concerned about that? The president says, "Look, whatever it is, it is. He's a good man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know in these things, but Pete is a very, very good man. I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it." I'm very surprised that Collins and Murkowski would do that. Collins, eh? He was all over Twitter yesterday. Like it was like that Collins guy probably doesn't have a very good voicemail today, and if he does, something's happened. The X was like, oh, and Murkowski would do that, and of course Mitch is always a no vote, I guess. Is Mitch a no vote? How about Mitch? He hasn't said yet. Like Mitch McConnell, like I don't understand what's going on with him. He's like against Pete Hegseth, who is like very closely aligned a lot of times. You know, if he's voting against the Hegseth, I think Hegseth is he is a person of change who's going to go in there. And why are there like we have how many perfect politicians who steal millions of dollars after millions of dollars? At least this guy's his flaws are like the regular human flaws. These other people don't have those regular human flaws, but they'll steal behind your back because they're good at hiding their. I just really am tired of the baloney, and who else isn't tired of these baloney Republicans? And especially now the Republicans, because hey, they got Fetterman on the Democrats. Guy wears fucking he wears shorts whenever the hell he wants to when it's cold out. You know, they're more the Democrats they get it. The Republicans, they're taking a while to get it. They're like we're tired of these phony people who are dirty as hell, but they look clean and no one believes it anymore. Like we've peeked behind the curtain and it's like, "Oh my god, you guys are freaking filthy." I'm not going to name names, but how many of these people get rich off of stock options? But they're like, "Oh, they're perfect." You're screwing the nation. Oh, but he doesn't go and say body things. Well, I don't care if you say body things. Fetterman is a Democrat, and he said things that make more sense and done more things than a majority of these perfect people you've never heard of. America needs people that are effective now. They don't need the people that look pretty because no one believes it anymore. They see someone who is all perfect, and they're like, "Well, what's wrong with them? We don't believe it." So if you want to lead, you have to have right now in this time our thing, you have to have real people in there right now. Real people who we know their flaws. It's a social media age. You can't get away with nothing. You know, and I'm not saying the ones that have gross negligence, but Pete Hegseth is like the preacher man. You know, he's not the it's not like the demon horrible this and that. It's minor things that are being I'm not going to go into it. I just it if there's people that don't understand that the world is turned and it's left them there. They're just people that just don't get it. They don't get what world we're in. And it's just like the liberals and the Democrats, they didn't understand what world we're in. They thought that they could just smear Trump and say, "Look, he was charged. He's a bad person." No one believed it. 7 swing states. And I just seen this one said, well, she's like some um, New York Times editor, former, was like, well, people don't see the numbers. Well, it's not about exactly the number. It's that there's 7 swing states, and there's all these other places. There's people who vote Democrat. There's, okay, like this is off of, totally taking off the one guy. But there's zealots and zombies. Well, there's a lot of zombies in the people that follow the Democrats. They have a lot of zombies that will vote and this is not that as a negative, but they will vote Democrat no matter what the hell or high water. It doesn't matter who the person is. They're voting Democrat because they haven't looked at what the hell is going on. And then there's other type of people that are zealots, and they're watching the people, everything that's going on, every detail, and they may switch. Those are the people that'll be, you know what I mean? That's, I think, the small people. Those are the people that decide the vote, who wins. And of those zealots, there's 7 swing states that are basically zealot states. They flip every time. Well, he won all 7 of these zealot states where people who look and they go for the person who they think is best to lead. And she's like, well, he didn't have the numbers. Well, he had the numbers by winning the 7 swing states. The most, the largest populist vote for a Republican Party in all time. Republicans are not, they don't get the populist vote. He got it. And then he got the people who switch 7 times. So this idea that he doesn't have a mandate on steroids, you're idiots. And when his decisions right now on who he has to lead, these people are like, well, my job is to say, you know what? Your fucking job is to shut the and take that thing. And the policy part, that's different. When you do policy for your people, you do your thing like that. But deciding who is and who isn't, Trump won seven swing states. The country has not for there's no protest. They threw the law at him. They threw this at him. There's no protest. No one's protesting. America for freaking once has come. There's only the media like, oh, this hand signal that Musk did. Okay, I wish he didn't do it. Kind of don't. But he did it, and it wasn't. Whether it was this or not, it doesn't matter. He's a billionaire. With he even said he has Asperger's. So maybe he did something he didn't understand that. And then they showed Macron today doing the same thing. From my heart to you, I don't know. It's a symbol. If he says in policies that are anti-Jew, well then all bets are off. But if he's just some fucking hand sign, this is all they got to argue about. It's nothing burgers. They have nothing, and it's not even getting traction. That's the beautiful thing. They're doing it. They're putting it out there, but it's not. You look at the comments. People are commenting about other things in the comments when it's about that. That's what you need to know. If you don't get the people's thing, and Collins, that's it. Collins and because they think that they're, you know what? Get over yourselves. Let the people that are the president has put in there for agents of change. But we got people with these scumbags. I think they're scumbags that think that, well, I'm so important. You're not. Right now, you're not. We're trying to fix America because we're about to lose a major thing. BRICS, all these things. And he has a big mandate. And like I said, the other side isn't freaking out. The other side is quiet. That's when you know. If the other side's quiet and all of their arguments are falling on falling like water, it's just rain. There's nothing. You just get wet. Water up I duck. My opinion. And I think this is enough of that. Good day. My audio was very quiet. Okay. Good. Thank you. It kind of should be because I was a little bit angry. I'm tired of these. I'm gonna Google these Republicans now. I'm tired, honestly, of these Republicans. They did this round one. Remember that one guy? Oh, what was his name? He was the head. Ooh. When Trump got in the first time, his name started with an R. It wasn't Rubio. He's gone now at politics. He's been gone for 8 years now. That's why his name escapes me. But as soon as Trump got in, he was head of the Republican Party, and he's like, what? He was head of the Republican Party. It doesn't matter. He was head of the Republican Party, and Trump won, right? First round, he won and he's like, well, we don't know if we're going to allow Trump to be the president. That's what they did. They're like, we're not going to allow we're not to run for president. Well, he just won the primaries. I don't know. You know what? He's out of politics now. I won't mention his name. It's actually best that way, probably. So this individual is like, and he sat down with all his smug thing, was like, well, he doesn't really represent the Republican way, and like, well, that guy got out. He's out of politics completely. I think Trump chased him out, in a manner of speaking, and he ain't been coming back. And now we have these other individuals, this Collins and Makowski, fucking people, doing the same thing. Like, come on. You know what the definition of insanity is? Call me insane. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I don't expect any different result when I do something. I'm expecting the same result. These people are like doing the same thing as done before, and it's going to somehow make me okay. No, you're going to be awful. Oh, this Senator Collins, she was the one who was speaking. Enough of her. Just like, for Maine, let's see what she's got to say. After careful I have to vote against Peter Hegseth's nomination for Secretary of Defense. While I appreciate his courageous families, 4.7 million views, his courageous military service and his ongoing commitment to our service members and their families, I'm concerned that he does not have the experience and perspective. Okay, who the fuck are you? First of all, who are you? And it's not him. It's the president who put him in place. It's not necessarily him. It's the president decided that this is the guy who's going to lead the way to go forward. But she, who we've never heard of before, who's never done a thing except probably fill her own pockets, has decided, hey, I'm going to get to do some grandstanding and stop this. And she's probably going to go Democrat. Our military's under tremendous pressure, so we're going to hire the status quo. Oh my God, oh my God, it's so long. I'm not going to read her bullshit. I'm going to read the comments, though. Oh, first traitor. I like this guy. Eagle Man. You are a traitor, Susan. You have no business being in the Senate representative of America. Disgrace. Look at this. No, I like the guy. I thought he was okay because I like to file. But this, look at this. Oh, like, come on, man. You're gone. You're he's out of the scene. That is the most ridiculous picture I have seen. Come on, look at he's got a mask. He's got a fucking goddamn. And this is what you're saying is the best thing. Like, that's all you have to do. That picture right there. That is what she's saying. Collins is saying is the best thing. Okay, that's what we gotta have. Come on, look at this. And then he's got everybody in masks. I don't know who these people are. In masks. I don't know what uniform, the Coast Guard or something. I don't know. And then they all gotta put on these like. You voted for this woke piece of shit. Your political career is over. This Vince Langman, that's fucking hilarious. And it's a real picture. All right. There are no careful consideration. You were always going to do this. Stop grandstanding, says Johnny Maga. Careful consider my arts. What exactly do Dems have on you? Maybe you should do a forensic audit of your finances. Yep. I think that X is going to get her. When Elon declared that X is now the news, I'm like, no, it's not. It's regular people. I disagreed right away. I'm like, no, it's not. It's regular people, just average people doing this. But what's happened is, and then I realized, oh wait, he's right, and this is what it is. Regular people are leading the news, and what happens is whoever gets the footage, the real footage of whatever the news is, elevates up the list on the algorithm of X. I don't understand the algorithm on X. I'm still learning it. It's confusing to me. I don't understand it. I do it I just don't yet. But they're getting elevated. So Joe from Texas, who was in that town, gets his video number one. He gets 10 million views. And then in Carolina, the story in Carolina, Sally from Carolina, her story wins and goes all the way up. So it's like, oh, it is right. They have the media, but it's not really media. It's just average people doing just there. They're like, well, I was there and I took the and here's my little, and that's what's working. It's actually coming along in the news. 3 Republicans, yeah. Oh yeah, and she voted for this. Like, come on, like. He's not good. This is the, light your head on fire and get a fucking clue. Get the fuck out of here. Pardon my French. And there was that other guy with the dress. He was stealing dresses. Okay. What you do on your personal time is okay. He was wearing these dresses at work and stuff like that. That's just not acceptable. I don't care. I don't care if you like that. It's not acceptable in a society yet. Once it becomes acceptable in, like, McDonald's, when you don't have people turning their heads in McDonald's, like, is that a guy? He's like a fucking guy. I can see his junk in McDonald's. You know what I mean? Once that's not happening, okay, you can do your stupid, silly shit like that, wearing dresses in Parliament. But this guy was going to office wearing high heels and putting makeup on, and like, and then stealing like. This one African designer was like, stole one of she had some of her dresses stolen. She was an African designer. So he may have known, right? He knew this woman, right? And instead of buying her dress, he probably knew the flights because he had the transportation, And he was putting all kinds of and he was a very, very bad minister. He was more worried about his cultural than his job. And stealing dresses. Stealing fucking dresses. And that was voted for, and they didn't vote him out. This is the same Collins woman. Like, what are you? And then this one was transforming into something else. Like, don't confuse military people. They're usually simple-minded. I was there. They're simple people. They're not complicated people. Simple, man. You didn't have to play that song to teach them. They already were. That was something I found a flaw with. I'm more dynamic a lot of times with my attitudes and my opinions, and a lot of times they're like, stop, Dave. Just stop. Just make it easy. They go to work, they do their thing, they love their country, they love their wife, they love their kids, and that's all they want in life. And that's a beautiful person. They shouldn't be the officers of that. Officers should be much more dynamic because war is chaos. But the soldier, the regular beach soldier, a lot of officers too they're designed to take orders. You know what I mean? In their positions, they're not a dynamic. Yeah, that's how they should be. Not people that are put the artists where the artists go. Have your flair for artists to lead that way and lead cultural. That's I have that. But they confuse these poor military people with cultural wars and things that they just, you know what I mean? Come on, they're there to like. This is it. This is how I said it. They call him a grunt for a reason. You don't want them thinking too much. You put all these thoughts in it. Your problem, you're hurting them, first of all. And second of all, you're not making them more effective. You're actually making everything worse. And the proof is in the pudding. The Navy's down 20%. The Army can't think. They can't actually recruit people anymore. The people that are in the morals have been never lower. They're all saying, oh, they're all sexist pigs and stuff. You get 20 men in the room, they talk about sex. You get 20 women in a room, you know what they talk about? Sex. It happens. And sometimes someone gets body. Now, and there's the laws that are in place. We don't need new laws or anything. The laws are in place to do all these things. But this idea that we need, she's like, that person was up there, we need to change the culture? The fucking culture. The culture is about killing. It's pretty disgusting, and you don't need to talk about that. You let them do their thing and be all rowdy. And if you don't have a high rah, it's hard to get people. They've figured out, okay, in the Civil War. I know I shouldn't say that. In the Civil War, they were finding rounds, 5-6 rounds in these muskets. And they're like, well, why? What the hell? Why do we got 5-6? Why are we digging up round after round after round after rifle after rifle after rifle with 6 rounds in it? They had to do the powder. Well, it's because the majority of the people on that line who were getting shot at and dying, right? Dying, watching their friends die. These pieces of these people that shouldn't have been there in the first place were just going through the motions, and they weren't firing. And there's no writing of it. There's no talk about it. There's no rumors that it was actually being said. Individually in their own minds, they weren't doing it. They were going through the motions and not doing it. And that was a majority in the Civil War. The majority of weapons were not being actually, they were going through the motions. And there was those that were firing, and they were noticing there was high fire. That was known by officers. People were shooting high, and they would always have to yell, shoot up, Well, it was intentionally done. So it's a difficult thing to get people to do these things, to do this horrible, horrible thing already. You add confusion like this piece of work, you're making it worse. You don't, I'm not about having a small this and that. The American military has to be big because it has a very big job to do. No one's picking up our weight. Canada, we can't even make 2%. Trump just said 5% yesterday. They want 5%, and we can't even get 2%. Get it? The military's like hurting for money. They've always been hurting for money. They have to whitewash things. Buildings crumbling. Literally, I was painting over a building that was crumbling. And I'm like telling him, I go, why don't we have concrete? He's like, we don't have enough money to pass. He's like, look at how long this building is. It was like 600 meters long. He's like, look at how long this building. We don't have enough concrete. We can't buy the concrete to fix it. He's paint it. That's what I had to do because they had to fix it and maintain as best they could with what they had, with the budget they had. He says we'd lose our whole budget on fixing this building right. We can't. We have to let it crumble and paint over it. This is your military. Now, they're doing, like, the Canadian Forces in training and exercise and stuff like that. The money gets put into there. But with the maintenance, is just letting it crumble. They have, like, the fire department. This is how the left thinks, right? And we've had a lefty kind of government towards the military for a long time. Even the conservatives have been scrimping on the military, Though when Harper was in, we got new uniforms, we got new equipment, and he put a lot of money into stuff. It still wasn't enough. Because Harper knew, pragmatist leader, that if we put that money into it, people would scream and he'd have a very hard time ruling in his minority government. I don't put it against him. But this is the facts. This just happens, and it's disgusting. And then putting this DEI, what is it, putting money into this stuff? We don't even have enough. I don't know if I should put that in there or not. It's a major issue. The military wasting the military funds on, and I call it a waste. Wasting the military funds that are already scarce on cultural issues. You should listen. I have an opinion is that no person in the military should ever speak about politics in uniform. I think it should be a charge. And then saying, I did it. I love politics, so of course I did it. I imagine I did it, even when I was young. I was into politics as a youth, And it should be a charge. You should be charged. And if you have one who's having too much cultural flair, they should be given mandatory, it's like as a punishment, but it's a good thing, parade. They should be going on parade. Parade is about doing things exact in unison with the team, and ceremony, and it's a way to bring them back into the fold of getting this culture crap out of your head, because you don't put your own flair. No, there's a way you hold it. There's a way you do things, and if you do it then another way, you're wrong. And that's a way to bring them into the fold. The military isn't there to practice democracy. It's there to uphold it. So military is not about, should never be about all these other things that regular civilians get to enjoy day to day. Once you sign your name, you sign I believe they should be signing certain parts of their life away as well. And voting, I would even go as far as to say that the military shouldn't vote. Now, you'd never be able to do that. Never be able to, but I think that would be where I would be, having unison, having everyone having their own flair. Like, I've seen these people in the military, they had like long hair and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, what the? Well, it's a new law, I can do it. Yeah, you can do it. I would be all over them. Like, personally, in my opinion, and I'm all cool. And as a civilian, I'm all about flair, and you can tell, well, I wear the same black clothes every day. I'm not the greatest example. I'm cool with it. And I think that it makes people better for that job. That job is the most serious job we have in Canada. Firefighters are pretty darn close, but they don't work the hours that the military does. The military is told, you're going here. What do you mean I'm going there? They're like, yeah, you're going to go live here for forever now. You're like, what? No fire department can do that. They don't have the power of their people to do. Say, oh, you want to live here? Too bad. I just told you this is where you're going. You know, and this is your job. Your job's changed. You know, and they're like, you have no say. So once you start adding these things in there, and they're like, but I have flair and I have my hairstyle, I have my friends here, that my civilian friends that I'm like grooving with. Well, it makes it harder on that poor individual who, when the career mangler comes up and says, yeah, you're going up the Arctic, my son. You're going to the Arctic and you're going to enjoy it. Wait, I don't care if you enjoy it. You're going up there and this is your job. You're like, but I don't know it. Well, you're going to learn it. That is the nature of that beast. And that's a hard thing. You can't expect everybody to accept that. But once you start allowing people that, but they think they have a more of a, autonomy in their life, and then what happens if that hairstyle doesn't fit in with the next base they're in, right? But the next locals, say you went from Toronto base, you know, where you could have your flair, and then you go to Petawawa where the locals are like, who the fuck is this guy? They're all hicks, right? Wearing their plaid shirts, lumberjacks. It creates problems where there shouldn't be one. That's why you had military haircuts. You couldn't do beards, and the beards had actually a new reason. Now they allow it like this here on my side. You have a gas mask that goes on, and the seal is broken. It's 5 to 15% seal gets broken, but now they're allowing. You're like, yeah, it's fine if you break the seal on a gas mask. If we go to war, that's not fine. 15% air loss because you got thick hair on your face is going to kill that person or put them out of capacity. You know, and it's these people, these liberals have been under this delusion that the military has a reason other than war fighting. There's only one purpose for them. If there was no war, I would want the military gone, like gone. And when they're not in war, they're praying for war, or they're preparing for war, I should say. This idea that they're about flair and they should be allowed. I can't wait for you to get the Liz Cheney treatment in your next primary. She's done. She is done. She's not voting in anymore. Oh fuck! I keep going to the wrong one. This is the destruction, and it starts. How do you destroy a nation? Well, you start destroying the people within the military itself, and this is how they're doing it. And hey, they do it by giving you the freedom to do it. You know, if things were to happen. Who's this Murkowski? Okay, here she is. Senator, another female woman, this thing. Laughing from, oh my God, of Alaska of all places. 300 thing. Since Mr. Hesse's nominated last November, I have met with him and carefully reviewed his writing, various reports, and other pertinent materials. I closely followed his hearings before the Senate Armed Services Committee and gathered substantial feedback from organizations. Holy crap. Look at all this. I don't care. However, I regret to enable support. She's never going to be voting again. And look at the comments. First comment. Disgraceful. Something. You voted for Lloyd Austin, ended up leaving $8 billion worth of military equipment in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's it. $8 billion in Afghanistan, and this is it. Service members that were killed. And she didn't say that. You're a disgrace. See you in 2028 peacefully. Lisa Murkowski, the undocumented Democrat. She is. She's a fucking piece of shit. That's okay. A lot of people are unfortunately no longer able to support you. Don't worry. I'm sure voting you out of office is a decision they won't take lightly. Is both of these Democrats, or these Republicans? They are Democrats in hiding. And Rhino. Oh yeah, look at this guy. This guy. And then we got this like. And they're advertising it. This is what we should be doing? Oh, my God. Don't. I don't curse often on X, but you deserve the most vile insults. Pisa is more qualified to be Secretary of Defense than any of the candidates you voted for in the past. You were a traitor, a rhino, and see you next Tuesday. Ooh. You literally voted confirmed. Look at every single comment. Oh, here we go. This one may be. The poster child for ranked choice voting. She'll never be elected. She's unelectable now. She's in a Republican area. Like Maine is a area that's like a Democratic area. there's Democrats, and she's in a Republican area, and she's unelectable, a piece of crap. Murkowski breaks. I got no use for this. Oh my God, look at this. You're so jealous. Peace, faith in Jesus, and that's it. There's a lot of it. The WEF, she probably. We need to follow their money. We need to follow these people's money. These people definitely are entrapped by money. WEF was giving problems to banking conservatives in the banking, and that was one thing Trump brought up. I was unaware of it. I looked into it. It's actually a thing. Is there anyone here talking? Am I here? Oh, hello. Thank you. My head? What's wrong with my head? It's a normal head. I'm wearing my hat. It's cold in here. I could wear my other things, and I don't want to comb my hair, so get out of here. It's in my head. Are you calling me Jag? Mr. Bojangles? Mr. Bojangles was a funny thing. So yeah, we have the biggest useless piece of crap, as far as I'm concerned. Murkowski and Collins, they're unelectable. They'll never be elected again. Trump has huge support, and it's growing with X. X has created a climate where the average guy who was shot down, literally, what would happen? The algorithms would. It did to me, and I really understood on other platforms, Facebook. You wouldn't even be able to find what you wrote. It would be pushed down so far, and then the most wokest comment from the freak. It didn't matter how stupid it was. If it fit a woke comment, and then if one sentence fit the wokeness agreement and agreed with what the Democrats were pushing, you got pushed. If the whole other part of the paragraph was complete nonsense, it didn't matter. One sentence in it, boom, you're elevated, and that was what was happening. Pushed on us, and it wasn't majority mob. Well, the majority rules, and the way it should be is the majority rules, because you can't convince people by hiding other people. You just better get a better argument, right? And sometimes what's going to happen on here is we're going to all get the wrong idea. Well, so what? That's what happens. We all collectively decided the wrong decision. Get a better argument. Be better at convincing people. The idea this is the real ends are those not Nas. Those people, the real Nas, are the Democrat people that shutting down speech. That's what Hitler did, or those people did. That shutting down speech, doing controlled words. These are all things. Eugenetics. These are all awful things that came from those people. And these are what the Democrats were spouting. And I think we've all had enough of that. Let freedom reign, and let us hurt ourselves the way we like to, with freedom, my opinion. I think I'm really, really actually this piece of work. We just have unelectable. Unelectable. And the senators, this is another thing. Good luck seeing if they show up to work. They don't even show up to work for half the time. And this is what we expect. And this woman, what experience do you got? Probably not. Oh. Let's see what this is about. We got MP Freeland speaks with reporters. Something to watch, something to see. Let's see what we can see. We're waiting for her to come up. Oh. Boop. We got a cop watching the door. That's good. I'm a firm believer in security. And Ottawa, there's something bad happened in Ottawa. I wasn't really aware of it when it happened, but it was a Muslim individual of some Islamist, ISIS, I should say, individual didn't like Canada. the first one. And bad things happened there, and it took like one guy, like with just who really wasn't his normal job, like he was in the uniform, to take the guy out. Like this is a crazy thing. They should have so much security there. It should be a little bit of an impediment. I think there should be two at least. I don't know if there is. Maybe he's got another guy, but him standing there alone, it's not. The military and cops are not there for when everything's peachy keen. Most of the time, when everything's peachy keen, they're a headache to our life. It's a headache to have, what I mean? They're there and ooh, did I do something going on? No, okay. Like people, it's like you see a cop, people slow down on this highway, cops on the side. That it's an impediment to a little bit, and it costs money, right? That we could spend in other places. But what it is when we need them to have the amount of people we need. They are there, and the equipment they need. That's for when it really hits the fan. So it doesn't go really, really bad. And that a little bit of investment beforehand pays tenfold when things hit the fan. Because if you think it's never going to hit the fan, like, what happened was these people at WEF and Davos, they said it's the end of history. They said it's the end of history. So they're like, yeah, the end of history. There's going to be no more terrorist attacks. There's going to be no more wars. History's over. There's nothing going to be writing in the books. And that was said about 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, there's people that are, 25 years old right now. Think about it. The last 20 years, how the crap that's happened. These idiots. End of history. Like, fucking end of history. A lot's happened in the last 2 years. We had a pandemic. People are 70 years old, 70, 80 years old, and they're like, the craziest time of my life was when the government told me to stay home. Yeah? The end of history? Anyway, I'm on a little bit of a rant here. I don't like that you said that. My head? What's wrong with my head? Anyway, that's very, very, what if you're a guy, what are you worrying about my head shape for? I think I want to delete that comment. I'm not going to, though. I have the power to delete your comment. You're obviously a girl. Mister? Steer. And hey, there's another. It's fine to be anything you want, but come on, man. Friendly reach around. If you're gonna, I got to tell you this, dude. This is, trolls. If you want to really knock someone, you give them a compliment. You give them a compliment. I guess you kind of did. Yeah, help me. But making fun of my head shape, unless you're making fun of something else, I don't know. And then we are waiting on Freeland here. I shouldn't comment that. I just. I'm a troll. You troll. I'll show you how to troll. Like, you know what I mean? I can give you lessons on trolling, and you're not really that good. It's only one comment, so I have to obsessively go over it. I'm trying to speed it up here. Oh, so there is another guy there. This guy's like, my job sucks. He's picking his ear. My job sucks. Oh, he's not picking. He's got a mic thing there. My job sucks. That's what they say is like everyone's all about hurry up and wait, and everyone thinks that it's all exciting. You watch your TV shows, you think you're being a cop and all that stuff. Oh, it's an exciting job. Well, it is for like 5 seconds out of a year. You know what I mean? Or 5 minutes out of a year. A lot of it is, they say it's a lot of this. They're doing their thing. keeping a peace of mind. He's moving around. You can't stand still. It locks your knees. It's hard on your body. And it's not good to be in the same position all the time, because then they'll know where you're standing, right? They can plan. But it's a lot of that. They get a lot of that, and then they get up and rank, and then detective working and stuff. But a lot of it is at least for this. I can't write that stuff. I'm removing your fucking comment. I think it's racist. Because I have a thing. There we go. All right, so we're waiting. MP Freeland. Yeah, so the Democrats have a couple Republicans that are basically, like they call them rhinos for good reason. Basically, people who most likely, like they said, they're Democrats and hiding, and they most likely have something against them, or they're trying to grandstand. And they're both they're both the woke Republicans. He says, I'm going to change the military into the warriors, and she's like, I'm reading his writings. What writings? And like fiction stuff, like whose writings? Like, and making decisions, and they're basically what they're doing is destroying their own career, and they're destroying all of that argument all on their own. They're playing their part perfectly, and as you can see on X, and it was 17,000 comments on that one woman's speech that she's against. 17,000 comments, and I scrolled at least to 100. 100 out of 100 were like, "F you, woman, get the hell out of your stupid idea." Some of these people don't understand that yeah, give your opinion, but no one wants it right now. No one wants you to go from what Trump is having. The collective America, and I believe even the Democrats, majority of like the real Democrats that mean something, these people I've never heard of before till now. So they're nobodies. And like me, they're nobodies. But they're this is when they can have power, right? So they're being used by somebody. I can't find where Freeland speaks. This is just ridiculous. An hour and a half. Yeah. But they're grandstanding when they can, and when Trump says he's changing what's happening, they're saying basically, they're not saying I'm against this guy or that. They're saying, well, I'm against what the president has decided. I'm not just I'm not against I don't know if this. You don't need that. And agent of change is what's happening, and then they're just deciding, hey, we're going to stay woke, while at the same time keeping alive an argument that should be decided and should find unity, but they don't. There's no unity right now, obviously. Well, hey, there's two people who can't toe the line. Like, I think, hey, give your opinion. Say I voted for him, but I did it with what do they call that? With hesitation or whatever. And not hesitation marks, that's kind of another thing. But I voted, under duress or whatever. And these are my reasons. That to me makes sense.
No, I'm very excited about the opportunities. And
let's see what he has to say.
Steps, and I want to determine how best to proceed after March 9th.
Is there anything you're looking forward to from the candidates specifically?
Oh, I think the people I'm speaking to, they're very excited about what Canadian priorities are, right? This is not about what's in the best interest of the Liberal Party, it's what's in the best interest of Canada, and who can stand up to the challenges that we face as we go forward. And certainly for me, and I think those I speak to, we have a strong economic focus, create jobs, enable us to then support and sustain the programs that matter most to Canadians. And at the same time, having a leader that will generate national unity. We have an opposition member who's only there to, being very divisive and talking about how things are broken, when in fact we have so many good things to do and many positive things to go forward with. And I'm looking for that new leader to embody that and to inspire Canadians to be proud of who we are, especially in light of what's happening south of the border. We got to stand strong, as our national anthem calls for. I want that person to be just that.
And
You've
as an Ontario
got
MP,
at least
what do
two
you think
leadership candidates who are repudiating the carbon tax, the capital gains tax. I mean, these are policies of your federal government. So who's being divisive here?
So you may recall I came from the province, and as finance minister of the provincial government at the time, we brought in a industrial pricing system, right? Cap and trade. We were part of the Western Climate Initiative alongside Quebec and California and others. And we decarbonized our system. And as a result, we were netting up to about $1.8 billion annually. And we used those funds as an incentive program to support consumers so that they can be incentivized and to change some behavior. It wasn't a punitive measure. Certainly the pricing system that we have now in place is a backstop, which is the federal program. Provinces can do what other things they can achieve. And a conservative government that's there now, they're the ones that dismantled that system. And I think Canadians are looking for an alternative that helps provide incentive programs for consumers, price the industries that are polluting the most, and finding a way to change those behaviors.
And as an Ontario MP, what do you think about the upcoming Ontario election?
Well, here we have a situation where the Premier is requesting a mandate, I guess, to deal with what's happening south of the border as a province, as a strong, large, subnational jurisdiction, one of the largest in the world for that matter. I was there for quite a while, and it's a big part of Canada. He has a mandate. So I don't see an issue there. I think he can continue doing what he's doing because he's already authorized by the people of Ontario to do just that. He's riding high in the polls. He wants to take advantage of that enthusiasm or that support. But I think, and we've seen that in the past, people, Canadians,
you're doing well as well.
Voters, they're smart. They understand, and they want what's best for Canada and what's best for them and their families. All the best. Je ne parle pas français, je ne parle bien. C'est un grand dommage pour moi. Non.
You know what? He's actually a pretty. You're like asking him to say that in French, please.
Je ne comprends pas qu'est-ce que tu dis. Mais important que le leader.
This guy? I don't know. I don't know him very well. His answers he seemed more of a pragmatic liberal. Seemed all right. I thought he was all right, honestly. At least the answers today. Maybe you don't like him. I don't know all about him, but I was.
Leadership review, and that person's going to become the prime minister at that point in time. It's a huge undertaking to do both and be prepared for the general election thereafter. We have supposedly until October, but realistically, we're going to be tested right away, and so we have to be ready, and exactly that's what we're doing.
Can you tell us how you feel about the fact that some candidates are kind of throwing under the bus things that were important for the Liberal Party, like carbon tax and capital gains tax. Do you what should we get from that? Is it?
As I said, I'm a big supporter of dealing with the first priority for most Canadians, and that's to make sure that they're doing well, and that the economy is growing, and that we support industry and we support jobs. We support investment. In regards to tax reform, including capital gains, there's a two-prong issue. One is to price it such a way or to engage and support foreign direct investment and capital investments in Canada and generate that enthusiasm. And generate that opportunity. But then the dichotomy, the discrepancy is that the new generation aren't finding ways to get equity where many are only paying 25% tax on capital gains. So there's a difference between business and individuals, and I think we should take a look at that more appropriately. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, Mississauga Lakeshore, MP Susa, he doesn't get much opportunity to speak, but that was just, to me, is the type of liberal I want. He didn't have an agenda beyond, like you said, I want to vote for the people that elected me. He's not there for some lobbyist group. Like, that's why I always have been railed against Guilbeault, because Guilbeault got in there for a lobbyist group. So he's in a riding, and that's secondary to him, because number one to him, excuse me, a lot of bubbles in this water. What the heck? Passion fruit. He's in his job for number uno is that lobby group of environmentalism, and whatever they say is going to go ahead of his area is riding. First of all, your job is to your riding. Second of all is to whatever your cabinet minister is, whatever that is, if you're environment minister or not, or you're the transit minister, these things. And then, of course, your leader, whatever changes. But a lot of these people that elevated and that have made us all sick of politicians is that they've all got this lobby group that got them in there, and their money pushed them forward, and then they come as it's some virtue signal, like they're. She said 100%. Thank you so much. That's it. But they come in there and they're trying to virtue signal like they're like somehow better, and nothing doesn't stink, and it's all. And we've seen it, and they've been one after another has watched our country go down, and our money values and everything like that go down. Well, some people have done very, very, very well, but the majority is worse off today than 1950, and has less hope. We have higher crime, like. There is, you go to certain communities and none of these problems are. There's a lot of these people that are on these virtue signal things. They live in that community and they don't go outside their little bubble. They don't see the rest of their country that the rest of their people are dealing with. So this idea that all of it's burning down is bullshit. That's just the other side, the right side, trying to get their points. And it's so true. Like certain communities, you buy groceries in that community of that town in Toronto, say. You don't go. Most people don't go more than 50 blocks for the majority of their stuff, their work, this and that. They go to their work and they come home. So it isn't all on fire. It isn't all burning. But when you look at the majority, there's 70. They said 70% of Canadians are doing worse now than they were 10, 15 years ago, and then 30 years ago, even worse, and on and on and on. Whereas, hey. If you got the right job, you got either lucky, you got a family that helped you out. These things, then life is peachy keen, and you're great. And when you go in these communities, you're like, holy crap! Look at the size of these freaking houses. They're huge. They're ridiculous. You only can live in so many rooms, but they've made houses. It's come to the point where these virtue signalers have been in power for so long, and all they're doing is building more houses. They're all building and living in mansions. Like there's a community around here. It's like small mansions, tiny yards. No one's outside. It's actually Green Initiatives. Oh yeah, what about the Green Initiative? See, I believe in the Green Initiative, but I don't believe the way they're doing it. Nope, I don't believe the way they're doing it. The problem is the way they're doing it. It's ridiculous. A Green Initiative is what Doug Ford did today. The Green Initiative was Doug Ford announced a mass transit. That's a Green Initiative. There'll be less cars sitting in the highway. He just had a kid. I did too. I gained quite a bit of weight over the last couple of months. It's not good. Bramton just got that huge announcement today. So that's a Green Initiative to me. Mass transit. You can't expect the companies to build mass transit because the amount of money that goes involved, the regulations are hit and miss and all this stuff. It has to be done. Certain projects need to be done by the government, like it or not. Hydro Hydro in Niagara Falls here. We get all our all our powers from hydro, from water, because we got Niagara Falls. They just built a new tunnel, and it's just like making good. It makes a lot of power. There's no problems with it. Once it's running, it just all it needs is rain. Right? And so yeah, I'm a green initiative. I'm not about taxing regular people so the wealthy who don't feel it. Basically, that policy is like, if you're wealthy, who cares? I'll pay a little bit more. Yeah, because you don't worry about your dollars. They worry about their hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, and that's the problem with WEP. When you get people like WEP in place, that's what happens. That's what you get. Because they have tons of money and they don't understand. And maybe they came from there, but they may be forgetting how hard it is when you only got $20 when you're choosing, oh my God, am I going to have to pay my phone, or am I going to be eating Mr. Noodle for the next week? And this is happening daily, and they don't care. That's where green initiatives to me. Oh, you don't need to delete your comments. Stellantis deal? Well, the Stellantis deal, didn't it fall through? Yeah, I think it fell through, didn't it? They gave the company money? Last I read about it, it was like it was done. Yeah, I'm cool. What I think the government should do, instead of handing out what they call corporate welfare, is what they should be. Hey, we need businesses to come back, and you got to make incentives. I think zero interest loans, those work for me. You give them no interest loans with inflation. You know what I mean? They have to pay back what it is. If they pay it back in 20 years, if you give them 10 million and now 20 billion and money's gone, you know, when through inflation is now 12, they got to pay it back to what it is. It's not a lot. The government doesn't lose, but they give them guaranteed no interest loans. The problem with a lot of businesses is being sure. You're like, if you're not sure that I'm going to have the money, there's not going to be investors coming. We're not going to be really working on it. They're worrying about other things. But if they have government funding guaranteed, that to me is, I think it's okay. As long as it's paid back. And paid back first. Like, they're paying it back right away. No baloney crap that, like, well, if you don't make money, we don't care. You have to be a big enough company that we can take other assets from you from doing it. That's my opinion. I don't know about it. So, yeah, the Stellantis deal is still going through. It's a lot of money, though. It's a lot of money for not a lot of jobs. But the way they go about it is really horrible. The way they're basically, it's not our money. We don't care. Take it. Yay. And they probably get kickbacks. You know, with bad politician after bad politician after bad politician voted in. We need more pragmatists, and we need the media to do their job. The legacy media shouldn't be, okay, they're doing this because they can get there. They can do the barrage reporting. That's what they're doing. That's great. But they should be doing more investigative. CBC should be doing investigative reporting and reporting all these silly things that the government's done and finding it through the files, because that's what they have the machine for it. I can't research, and they can brush me off and cancel me, but they can't cancel CBC. It's paid for by the government. They should be looking into their business, like the one guy says, all the time, to make it better, to stop it. You're not going to stop the past, but you'll stop it going forward, because people are like, oh yeah, I remember 10 years ago, I read that huge ongoing rolling investigative report that made that reporter, by the way, like Fight the Knife. I love that guy. He's the best. And with Cash or whatever. That will work 10 years down the road, because that politician will be like, maybe I won't do that deal because it's a little shady and it'll make me look bad. Maybe I will watch where I sign this deal, where the money is actually going. Because maybe that journalist, whoever the journalist of the time, will make me look bad. So they'll do their job more, or get their staff to, of course. That's totally my opinion on it. You do green deals. I think Doug Ford is going to he's looking for a record or something, because he's probably going to get a record of the largest majority of a progressive conservative party in Canada. Most likely. Yeah, so he's definitely a thing. Okay, what's happening here? I'm going to have to put something up here for a second. Oh, Space Cafe. Just looking to see where this Freeland is so we can get the Freeland, and we'll see what Hegseth, they're still doing quorum. Like, oh my gosh. Salivating with it. Cop, sitting there. He's doing the shake. Look at all the weight. Like, they got weight. Oh, you got to switch. Oh, there we go. We got two. Oh, we got the bruiser. This is my opinion. Is on the thing. You have to have security to deter, and I think is by the problem with Sorry, I got to get rid of this picture. The problem with having more people watch politics is that you're going to get more individuals who believe that that hurting someone or doing something. And most likely, we're in Canada. I'm not concerned as much about that. I don't think it's going to be as big of a problem. But you can get someone who's going to do something like unpolite, and that's why you need the cops there. And I think you need to, as they get elevated, this is great. This is great that we have more people paying attention to politics. But like a movie star, a really popular movie star, except this is like a lot of politicians are popular and unpopular at the same time, right? Depending on what side you're on. They need to have a little bit of security around them. And I think in the building, damn it, should be like just crawling with them. And then them having a little bit more security outside is my opinion on it. It's just some of these things. Hi, Gwen. Oh, Gwen is actually here live. That's weird. Freeland is going to be speaking. And these, having them there and just standing there doing like their thing, like he's like, that's what you need for if something goes off, right? And that makes everyone feel better. It makes the good people of the earth come out more, I believe, if you have a very good protection. And that's what I think politics needs right now. We're having a problem with crisis in the West because communism in the last 30 years, they poured more concrete than we have. In the last 10 years it's the 10 years. The last 10 years they poured more concrete than we did in the last 150 years. So they built a amazing country. If you just look at the pictures, I don't want to, I'm not selling communism, but I'm telling you, they've done a better job than their politicians did a better job than ours in the last 10 years. That's it. And then, of course, we have every damn opportunity to be better. It should not be the case. It's just we've had too many politicians with filling the pockets, and not look what they did to JFK. Like if you have a great, bold, and great ideas, they got stamped down. And so we had that. But now with Trump and the Trump-ish people that have a bold vision and are there for the people are coming back, and we're going to see the revival of the West, like. Huge. I think so. I think it's coming. And when they call the Golden Age, I don't think they're exaggerating. I really believe we're going to be a place where companies are going to call you. You didn't even apply. Do you want to work you're working somewhere? Like, well, we hear you're doing this job. That's where I believe we're about to be headed. And that's where it's going. I hope so. I hope I'm right. So that was it. You got a day off. That's nice. Days off are good. Okay, so I didn't get anything from there. We got a Senate speaker. Let's see what he's saying. I don't know.
Kavanaugh background investigation was that the then head of the FBI
okay, here we go.
kept repeatedly saying publicly, could you excuse me a second? Ed,
that was nice.
Ed.
Excuse me a second?
Ed, if you please.
Oh, I love this guy already. Ed, I'm talking here.
We were repeatedly told that the supplemental background investigation was done consistent with all of the FBI standard protocols and procedures. What was misleading about that, as we later discovered, is that for a supplemental background investigation, there are no operating procedures and protocols. Ray said that they comported with all of their procedures, didn't disclose that, in fact, there are no procedures to comport with. What is the FBI doing in a supplemental background investigation? They are doing only and exactly what the White House has instructed them to do, period. No more, no less, no procedure, no protocol. Which raises a huge question about the adequacy of this background investigation to the extent that in its later stages, it was a supplemental background investigation. We know that when the Kavanaugh investigation was going on, Republican senators were told that there was no corroboration being kind of an important legal term here, no corroboration of the...
Okay. Okay, the Kavanaugh was a bunch of baloney. I got to pause this for a second. We're going to wait till we get another guy on here. Oops. Still working out how I'm... Here's the Liberal leaders. These... Okay, so I'm going to quickly go... Oop, I don't want to cover her face. Especially that one. She's like the hoteler. Movie star one. But the Liberal leadership race, we have Mark Carney, who is most likely in the lead. And you don't need to whatever. This is like the person who's going to be prime minister. You know, it's important. Chrystia Freeland, most likely in second. Karina Gould, I don't know, maybe third, yeah. Chandra, Arya, he's like the... okay, wait. So Mark Carney is like the best chance candidate, kind of comes from outside. He was appointed by Harper, so he's got a conservative tint to him. Chrystia Freeland, who is the old... Whether she likes it or not, she's tied to Trudeau a lot, or at least she's tied not to Trudeau, she's tied to the last 10 years, okay? Karina Gould, she's the youth vote. She's getting the youth. Now everyone is a little bit more. I'm just boiling it down to essence. Chandra, I would say he is more of the, a little bit of the immigrant vote, like new immigrant vote, and business owner, Hindu... kind of I think I don't know, this is not guess. Jaime Battiste, he's the Native American vote, as being a Native American, and he wears a nice tie. Frank Baylis, the business vote, business leader, billionaire. The guy's a billionaire, like he's super duper rich, but he doesn't talk like what he doesn't, you know. I think he's really good. I hope they keep him in going forward. Like I hope he's like in the Liberal Party going forward, whether they win or lose, but I hope he runs in the next election. But you know, he's a billionaire. It's hard for these people. You know, they got other interests they can have. Hopefully it's in our country. I think he'll be an asset to our country, whether you vote Liberal or not. And then we have Ruby Dhalla. She's a very pretty movie. She's has liberal previous experience, so she actually is a politician, like hoteler, very, very rich. She has ties in the States, ties in Canada, very photogenic. I don't want to be like hit on person. That's rude, but it's a factor. You can't deny it. I know we shouldn't say these things in this world, but I'm sorry, you can't deny it. You know, like women said a lot of things about Trudeau, who's so good looking. It's a factor. It's not me. It doesn't work on me. I'm not going to vote for you because you're a pretty person. But it works on some people. There's a percentage of people who are like, well, they're really good looking. I'll vote for them, you know. Or they're really good looking. Well, I like that one. I like her, right? I like her. She's good. And if it gives people a little bit of you know, it can. You'd vote for Bugs Bunny? Kim Kardashian for prime minister. She kind of does like Kim Kardashian. She does. And she's like a hoteler. She came from humble roots. CBC's got the interview. Humble roots, hoteler now, and travels around. It sounds like I got, you know, she seems all right. And I know we're all about teams, you know, now, but salt it, you know what I mean? It's just, they're going to be the leaders of their area, their riding most likely, and there we go. Bugs Bunny. Well, I really don't. Kavanaugh hearings. We heard enough of that.
Now, we've had
Oh God. See, this is I'm cool that you have your points, but I think America is time that there's big fish to fry, and it's time that the Democrats start getting in line and start making things work. Because no one likes the Democrats anymore. And it doesn't matter what Democrat you are. As soon as you see the D on someone's name, the Democrat, they're like, I don't like them. People, like, you go on, they're like, I just don't like them. Well, there's only one way out of that. Sentiment. Liberals are the same. Like, as soon as I put liberal, I get, people are freaking. I know there's only a couple of us here, but I look on other sites, and they're like, I hate this person. Well, there's only one way out, and it's to toe the other side's line for a while. And, as you're doing that, take the policies and find unity of the other side. That's their only way out of it. You can't double down. Trudeau did this. He tripled down, doubled down. I was like, why is this guy not retiring? Everyone's asked him to, please. Well, he's got money. He's got, you know what I mean? It's not like he needs the money. It's not like he needs anything, right? He's got a foundation of billions. He's got a pension for life. He was prime minister. He probably made other monies, probably invested in certain things, stock market. Why, and he's wildly unpopular. And then he would triple down on these certain opinions of the environment, a virtue signal as if you're some holy roller. And we're all like, you're a scammer. You take money from rich people and use your thing like use your position of power to take free vacations and guaranteed you're making policies to help these people. And we're all aware of it. It's like scandal after scandal. And then you're trying to virtue signal us? Come on. That's why I think the bottom row, Gould maybe too, and Carney, Freeland is it's good that she's running for the I think it's important. I think it's very important that she runs. But because there are a lot of people that support the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party shouldn't run from that old guard the last 10 years. They shouldn't. But I think, you know what I mean? They should have, because they don't need to, destroy everything. There should be someone in the leadership race, someone who represents that, right? So the liberal people who are, staunch base liberals can see, well, look, she's not good. She didn't get in because, so they can say that. And then the media needs to, if they're left liberal media, and the liberal politicians need to also say this, hey, look, she didn't win because this. People are tired of it. Unity. And it's really, we need a time of unity right now. You want to call it dictatorship, it's a unity. And until things start going wrong with Trump, which they haven't so far, everything that's been happening in the last week has been good in America. In America, what the hell is this? America, people are cheering in the street. America's cheering. The morals have been so low. The morale of everyone's been so low. There's actually people those people. When I recommend you go watch that Trump today. He was in tears. The guys were like, oh, just because he came there and he cared. America is on ready to heal. And if you chiropractor, Dhalla, she's a chiropractor. Oh, well, it said hoteler. So her husband or she may have obviously started a business. She's a chiropractor. That's some chiropractors are really good, and I don't want to call it voodoo because that makes it not a science. But some chiropractors can be genius. They're give me here's everything I got because you're so awesome. You healed every pain, and it's wizardy stuff. Some people are in science. I've heard chiropractor, but other people swear by it. So chiropractor is a weird profession, and it's a profession. To me, it is. I got respect for that one. I think it's a good one. It's a good profession. Oops. Not that I know too much about it, to be honest. But I know I've heard both strong opinions on both sides of it, which is very odd. And the one person was another professional who was a competing profession, so you know what it was. I don't want to say who they are. And the other one was someone who was like, other couple were like, no, I'm telling you, it's the whole thing. I went to the doctor and this chiropractor fixed me. Beautiful. You wouldn't pick any of them? Why don't I run? Oh, I should run because it's good for your health to run. No, they wouldn't. They won't even reply to me. I'm unelectable because the politicians. There's gates. Come on. They're only ready to cancel my bank account, freeze my bank account, and then cancel it. That's where I'm at. First, I have to have a few bucks. I can't run. I would love to. I'd love to run, but it's not going to happen. And it's because the climate. Or what's happening in the States is happening there first. It'll come here. It's coming. And first of all, they have to win in the States. They're still fighting. Look at these two, Collins and Murkowski. These two yaya Republicans are like, well, because I want a virtue signal, I want to be a green. I shouldn't talk like that. I want a virtue signal. I want a green priest. I'm going to get. I don't think Pete Hegseth, the voice of change, is good enough. Oh, fuck you. You know, listen to your commander in chief. I think I'm gonna put it up right now. Let's just check out like Murkowski. And they're both like, you know what? I bet you they haven't done a thing. If I were to look, and I'm not going to, if I were to look at their record of what they've done, nothing. They've gone to work half the time. If you look right now in the Senate floor hearings, there's like empty. They don't show you the whole thing. You know why?
That black military officers are only promoted because of.
Yeah, it's about culture wars. I don't want to put that on my channel, but they don't show you the whole screen because it's empty. Because the problem is this is the only photos that are allowed in there, and they're hiding the fact that these senators don't even show up to work. What? Hey Google, please shut off alarm. I gotta pray. No, I won't. I'll miss it again. Just do it all in one shot or something. But yeah, it's despicable. And the reason why you can't show this crap, and you can, because, hey, you say anything against your senator, you're going to have problems, right? You know? But they're not showing up to work every day. I don't care that they don't have to be there. They should be there. They should be there in the seat, be in the temple every day, or get a new job. You know? You get it. There's no problem. Get a new job. Lots of jobs for you, especially if that's the senator. If you can't show up to work and sit in your damn seat for hours and this and every day, why are you there? Why are you elected? Oh, to do another job, and we're supposed to trust that you're working? I don't think anyone trusts these politicians anymore. They don't work. Everyone's saying how much Donald Trump works. I think, you know what the difference? Okay, everyone knows he's a business owner. I think he works as hard as about 90% of other business owners, and no more and no less. Probably, you know what I mean? He works harder than 10% of business. Many business owners work. Maybe he does work a little bit more. Maybe. Okay. Trump is a little bit more. I don't think he knows how to not work. Like he was I think his not working is golf. And he's doing business deals on the golf deals because a lot of business deals get done playing golf, relaxed in atmosphere and stuff. I'm personally think, look at his dinners. Do you think he's had any dinner that wasn't a dinner of business since he was elected? Of course not. He's a bit of an extreme, so I shouldn't put him. But I think a lot of business owners work as much as he does, whereas these politicians, they're like, well, I'm rich here and I'm rich there, and you know, my other job, who makes $1 million every month, is a little bit more important to take my time than sitting in the chair of Congress. Well, then it's time to get new people in Congress. Time to get these people out. Time to we need to pull the curtain back and not hide the facts from the people that are true. Like our politicians, quorum. You got to call for quorum. Quorum means that they can't have anyone there. They don't have enough people there to even bother debating, and it happens all the time. And no media, look, our media is worried about what Pete Hegseth's ex-wife's sister said 20 years ago, and it wasn't even. It turned out not even be true. She's like, the woman's trying to sue the people, the reporters. Like, she's probably gonna get rich off suing them. CNN once again, or was MSNBC? Thanks MSNBC for making yet another person rich. for your bullshit stories. No one wants it. No one wants these people. It's time for unity and time to bring in people, agents of change that work. Like, we're, again, in 10 years, China's put more concrete than we did in 150. Well, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it starts with our leaders. It's my opinion. That's why Carney hiding in the past week shouldn't he be answering questions? Yeah, damn straight. I think he's regrouping. I think what happened to Carney was he had a team and an idea, and he thought, no, it's also he's at the Liberal, they're all at the Liberal caucus, and they're all doing their plans and stuff. I think he's been quieter. He did do a video out. I can't play it because I got copyrighted on Chrystia Freeland. She's used copyrighted music. So I couldn't even play her, so I had to delete it out of my video. So I can't advertise for them, and not that it really was. I just wanted to watch it together, kind of thing, and I can't. And then he put on music on his, so I don't know if it's copyright or not. Like it wasn't a strike on me because I deleted it. But so I'm not going forward. I can put it on mute, so we can do that. But I can't put it on because they have their music and it's probably copyright. I have to actually inform us if it's copyright or not. And that's why other CBC and them, they're not playing it unless it's like on a commercial. Dude, it's all a lie. I think we just need to have hard workers up front, hard-working politicians, and they can be the true leaders. We don't need artists to be leaders. Artists guide us into the Netherlands of future, the future of like the foggy future. They lead the politicians in a foggy, futuristic, not direct line way. But for regular people, for the majority, the masses, I would say, politicians should be leading by example and leading by unity. Right now we need unity. And not just in America, not just in Canada. We need NATO unity, like, the Western countries, which NATO and Western is basically the same thing. Japan included, and these CPTPP countries, this new free trade deals that we had. We need unity right now, as there's other things happening on this BRICS and stuff like that. The other autocrats and communists is rising, and they're rising really, really fast because technological advances have made it easier to be like that. Transfer it to you. What are you transferring? You got money? Sorry, I don't know what you mean. Meaning, I wouldn't pick any of them. Why would you? Oh, yeah. Randy Dhalla, carpenter. I think it's, I'm going to check out to see.
Their race. Tell that to Colin Powell, called the Strategic Defense Initiative.
So I think we're getting a Democrat after. And they didn't get the memo. I don't think the Democrats, not all of the Democrats, senators, hey, they're older guys. They don't show up to work. They're not on X. They're not feeling the vibes because they got other interests, millions of dollars. They got other interests right now. They're not as fast as I'm on it, and a lot of people that are X are on it to see what Trump has been on things way ahead of everybody. Because he puts the time and gets the feel of the real people, and it's a feeling thing, and you get the feelings all together into that muddy up into facts, and then you can see it, and that's really hard to do because it takes a lot of time. Brian, it's also making Daniel Smith, our best premier in this country, in my opinion, look good on the world stage. Yeah, well, you like oil. And she fought for the oil, right? She went down to Trump. Daniel Smith is a pretty good politician because you have to be in Alberta, because the Alberta people pay attention. They're all conservative, and conservatives, I find, pay attention to politics as their bread and butter. They week by week, they pay attention to God, Jesus. Not always, but Jesus and God part isn't much part of conservatism as it was. Oh, Alex, you got flagged on that last comment. I'll let you have it. Of course, I don't know that comment was flagged. I had to dig it out. But Alberta has conservatives who pay attention to politics, and they on a daily or at least weekly basis they put their time in, and so a conservative in Alberta has to pay attention to politics. they have to pay attention to what the feel is, and they have to hit the notes all the time, or else like their last liberal, the last leader of the party, the Smith's party, won't mention him, but he got kicked out because he said some things that were against what the people said. They literally kicked him out of the party, and it was from a grassroots kick out. So if you don't hit those, an Alberta politician has to be in campaign mode from day one and never stop campaign mode. And I think that's part of the reason why she's good. It's a very powerful country. She's a good politician. She's a smart, savvy, photogenic politician. And she's got that her voice is deep, so it's that seriousness. It doesn't sound like she's pulling things out of, she's got that. Yeah, I think as a politician, yeah, I agree. I think she's pretty good. Now, do I agree with all of her policies? Absolutely not. But she's one of the better ones out there. Damn straight. One of the better politicians that Canada has for fighting for certain things. But behind the scenes stuff, I don't know. I'm not in Alberta, so I don't follow the machinations exactly. What I'm following is Ford, because I'm in Ontario right now. And Ford's been doing a really good job. He did some bad things at first. I don't know what his team, but he had some bad deals, some just same old politics. And I was like, and I'm not following it. I wasn't following it that close. Now I am lately. But lately, he's, I like, yeah, Dougie, he's been good. He just announced that Brampton, Mississauga line, part of it's the tunnel to the downtown area of Brampton, which is good. Revitalize the downtown by the people that are most likely going to use it are going to be living downtown. A lot of them, they're the highest percentage of the population, and it brings people to downtown. I don't really know what you mean by that. I'm in the wrong one. I got to check this. Let's see what Carney has to say. I think Carney is a really good resume. What does he have He has a very hard time. He's going to have okay, here we go. Today, 3 hours ago. Thank you. Oh, Stephen McKinnon. Stephen McKinnon's a pretty good. I think he's all right as a political. He's slinging stuff, slings and arrows kind of guy. Politician in the parliament. I don't know what his policies are, but slings and arrows. He's fun. Okay, so Stephen McKinnon. Mark Carney is not only the renewal of the Liberal Party Canada needs, but also the Prime Minister candidate to confront the threats of Oliver and Trump. Together, we will build an even more prosperous Canada. Okay, so that was 3 hours ago. Oh, wait, I can put this up. Sorry, I'll put it up. Okay, so you guys can see. We'll have it. So I'll just do this here. Yeah. Okay, so no. But the one thing is, I guess we can put up hers, but I couldn't find it, so I'll have to dig a little deeper. Jolie. Okay. Oh, sorry. What did he say here? So yeah, that's it en français. 22 hours ago. So all he put is that. Okay. So Wilkinson. I had a really good video. Oh, it was so funny. I laughed my arse off. And it was Wilkinson was doing this. He was getting grilled by I think Pierre, someone by the Conservatives, and he was doing this arm elbow thing. It's just like I don't want to call it a tick, but it was small, but because he did it like 4 times in a thing. I highlighted, looked at it. I'm telling you, I got more laughs out of my own video than I had in a long time. And he doesn't actually have a tick or anything like that. But this is how unfair editing can be really done to a fine art. I didn't have to do nothing. I just had to highlight his elbow, and it was hilarious. And I think he got a lot of views, so I think he may have seen it and didn't like it. I tried to email, and I didn't get any response. It was just, this to me is how you get blue-collar people. I know I shouldn't mention this isn't really a trade secret. How you get blue-collar people in it, you make it amusing. You make it fun. You make it funny for both sides. And the reason why I like to be on the center is I want to be able to pick on just the bullshit. When things get serious, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be, I don't want to discuss that. But when it's like lighthearted stuff, yeah, that's how you get people interested and keep people watching. And it can be done with, all he did was this little tiny elbow thing. It was very minor. But because he did it a few times, I could make something out of it. Now I slowed it down. I did all kinds of these silly machinations. And it made it look, I thought it was hilarious. Okay, so 22 hours ago, I concur. So he's Wilkinson, Senate, Jean Charest. So yesterday, we're working hard to earn your trust. Here's the person who's you're worried. I can't put that video on. Mark Carney. So he's going after Pierre. He has to try. But they don't have a good enough editing to. I don't think that their editors or anyone. There's very few people that have ever been effective in politics and being able to edit and to be able to do. I think. I believe myself to be one of it, but I'm biased, obviously. But there's few. But the reason why politics people have been paying less attention to it is because the people who've been going into politics are uninteresting. Trump is different. Some other politician, Maloney, Viktor Orban in his country, and now worldwide. Some politicians just people want to watch. They have this gravitas. I don't even know how. And it's always different in each individual. It's not always looks. Like Rex Murphy. My God, Rex Murphy. You hear that voice, and everyone's like, people went. God rest his soul. David Lynch had a lot of good teachings. If you look at his site, he's got a lot of good stuff to learn. But you got to spend a lot of time. Learning it. But you have to make it interesting for the blue collar. And then when it comes to policy, you can talk the boring policy talk. As long as people you've raised their excitement levels to be able to do the nuts and bolts. But just doing what I think is what's happened is got co-opted. Like my idea of what for politics, a lot of people say, hey, look, he's getting lots of views. I'll just do that. And they don't understand that you have to also do the other part of the work, or else you're just creating hate. And they've just created the conservative movement. To me, Carney is in the WEF. Yeah. WEF just got a new mandate from Trump. We're going to see something different. But what they happened was and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, because I just think I just don't understand what I was trying to do because I didn't explain it. And that's why I'm trying to do this. 5 hours of blah. So I can explain a little bit what the hell, where it should be headed. And so you only do that one-sided, and you don't sometimes bring it down to the policy, because that's really why you want them there. You want them to think about and put their energy into the policies that will make the country better. Many minds make light work. But you have to get them there. So how do you get them there? You have some fun with it. And what happened is it's been co-opted, and it's not just me, and it's not just from me, obviously, but it's been happening. Everyone on Twitter, they know if I do this, I'm going to get the hits. The problem is you only get their attention for a very limited time. You can't keep someone's attention very long angry. It just doesn't happen. Very few people. They'll get angry again and again and again and again and again. But an angry person has ADD. That's part of the problem. And so you're not going to hold them. You're not going to get them to sit there and watch you for 16 hours. Ridiculous. That was one thing I was getting complaints. People are watching your channel too many. Like, what are you fucking complaining about? This is what you want. You want their mind on the politics, giving their energy waves to politics, and it'll get better. And it's not all about the hate and da. You have to bring them all. And that's what I'm repeating. The thing is, you have to get also the policy parts, and then get their other part of the mind. Logic, analytical part of your mind, and then the energizing, funny, laughing. And sometimes you got to laugh at your own team. You got to have your own team laughs. Like, not all the time. It has to be limited. Like, there has to Pierre. We all know it seep deep down. Even the ones your best favorite actor or singer, deep down, you know they're not a god. You know that they use toilets, right? Where did King die? Where did the king die? They all use toilets too. So they can't be 100% God if you want to keep their attention, and like it or not. Of course we all want to. Every politician wants to be perfect, and they freak out if you give them a slight off. But all in all, All that matters is that the person's paying attention to your show, not the other show. And I mean politics, not my channel. Obviously, if I was worried about politics, I wouldn't be so hard on the commenters. I'd be like, I love you all. You're so all great. I should do that more. I do appreciate the comments. But I wish I had someone else, honestly, control of the comments, because I'm not sure because we're walking on glass here with the comments and this part. You have started harsh comments. All of a sudden, your channel goes down if you're not monitoring them enough. I would leave no monitoring and just have a free-for-all. I'd love to get in there and blast everyone, but that's not good for you. The algo don't like that. So I would like to have that. But it's getting better. Actually, there's a better AI system that's been running it lately that doesn't hold that much. What is this? Did he? I don't know. Did he? What a name, though, eh? It turned out to be a very apt name. That's... I got no use for that guy. I never really liked his music anyway, to be honest. And or his clothing lines, I never was impressed. Mark Carney. So there's my little spiel on keeping the masses tuned into it. Now, take that or leave it as you will. It's not a huge piece of advice. We got Mikowski. Let's see if Collins did anything new. She's a piece of work, this one. No. Oh, yeah, she has something pinned from like December 29th. Is that it? No. 38,000? Sorry, I'm not going to put a comment, of course. Fucking why? 38,000 comments. Now I'm going to scroll. Oh, look at this new one. Did you use careful consider when voting for this? This fella? Dog on... Oh, my... You wear a dog head on it? I don't know what that... Like, come on. 38,000. And every single... 38,000... at her. She's unelectable now. She'll never get elected. She probably knew that. Took some money. Any comments on that? Yeah. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom and see that one. Just random, all the way down. One more time. No, 3 times 1. Rolling it once. Oh, disgrace. Now one more time. Let's see. Okay, double dub. Dub. Is this you, Mathis? Really? Even on his way at the door, you supported Mathis? Pete Heck says it's a problem for you? Weird. What did this Mathis go and die? Mathis, yeah. So she's like all about Mathis. She's a Democrat. She's not even like a rhino. She's literally a Democrat. It's to get elected. Guaranteed. She's just trying to get elected. She's one of those wishy-washies. You can't trust these people because they're not... Okay, this is the type of shit politician I'm talking about. So what it is, and I heard this from one of our politicians, and I hope you heard this one. If you can't convince... Okay, we all know that we have certain opinions in our areas, right? And your party it's hard for you to get elected in that area. So if you want to get elected in that area, you have to work your ass off to change opinions. That's it. Brexit didn't have the numbers, but it did after they changed opinions. So you have to work. You got to get a machine. You got to ask your party for money. In my riding, we got to change this opinion in my riding so we can elect our party there. But what a lot of weak politicians, they do, they're the wind. They're like, they do this. Well, that needs to be done to a level. But with certain things like voting in your president's nomination, things like that, these are party line things, or when they're saying things in your riding that are like anti-America, and you're like, well, I'll just say it a little bit. Well, because of the voters, so I can get elected. Well, they're just crap. And then you can expose the other who's utilizing that. It can be done. It's a harder job if you're going to be in one of those ridings that's not a swing a swing riding or it's leaning in one direction. Maine's one of them, and Alaska is very Republican, at least from the last my looking at it. So I don't know where the hell this one. The other one's just an ideologue who's probably got money in her pocket. Women. He's. I don't know. I have no idea. Canada Post is trending. I don't know. $1 billion bailout for Canada Post. $1 billion bailout. Daniel Smith, as of now, she just wrote this 15 minutes ago. Marshall Smith. Who's Marshall Smith? Opioids? What the fuck? Marshall Smith, Alberta's effective approach. Who's Marshall Smith? I can't go on that. I wanna read it. I can't. It's copyright, right? Okay, so Daniel Smith. I'm gonna do this first. So Marshall Smith, I guess, is someone who's writing in National Post now. The Marshall. Alberta's effective approach to drugs should be a North American standard. Yeah, I agree. Her standard is the way to go. She did it's more like more beds, more things, and there's like a little bit of work involved. I don't think they have it yet, but they're on their way, and that's it. And but you also have to have the politicians creating work, labor work, manual labor work, someone who has no education, who can just get enough the money, and maybe you give them an opportunity to get education through that work, through a work program. It's like, okay, you're working, we'll give you an opportunity to do a little bit of schooling, and we'll give you guaranteed loans or whatever, without any criteria except that you're working at this company. Then this company they give it to the company, and the company, you know what I mean, and on their off time. That's what I think, because labor work is good for the soul, but it's not good for the pocketbook. You know what I mean? If you want to have a family, you have to make a little bit more money than just slow base manual labor work in this day and age, right? Because of and so I think that's just helping them out. But you have to have a lot of work. We have to first create the golden age, and this is the biggest problem our politicians have, is that they've created literally the land of despair. They're like, well, we don't have much work. We'll just wipe these people out by giving them drugs. That was the Liberal WEF plan. I'm telling you. And there's no one, you find that written down? You won't find that, so it's all bullshit what I said. But that was their plan. They're like eugenics. They're like, they're not good enough people. Why? Because they didn't do the schooling, but they probably know street smart 10 times more than this WEF yah. Anyway, as of now, Alberta stands as a clear example of jurisdiction in Canada where opioid overdose deaths is down 38% in 1 year. And she just did it like 2022 or 2023. She just started these new programs. A decrease larger than anywhere in North America. Well, it's going up. And then who said this the other day? Oh, it's Pierre. Pierre did that CHEK interview, and he says, well, why is opioid deaths and this going up? Well, it's because people, and you're paying people, like companies, to keep this rolling. Of course it's never going to go down. You want this. It's their solution. It's their answer. We're just going to keep them all. No, manual work. Let them work hard, sweat hard, live hard, and live a decent enough life. That's it. And they probably will, if bad habits, die at 50, and they'll be happy all the way from 0 to 50. What's wrong with that? This idea that we're going to give people drugs to keep them, I don't know what, down is the only way I see it. Down and unhappy is not the way to go. But we've had a place of despair where all of our WEF-oriented politicians decided that, you know what, it's better to make investments outside of our country and have the pollution and all these other filthy things and filthy workers be done on these other upcoming countries, because it's my job being a voted elected person to worry about how it is in Malaysia or Bangladesh, and nothing against those countries, but my politicians should not be paying attention to what the fuck is going on over there. They should be worrying about everyone having too much work here. And hey, it's the business commerce's job to say we don't have enough workers. Well, if there is not more jobs than people, well, I believe that's the problem. That, to me, is the nation has a problem. There has to be more. Every company needs to be finding out how to do things more efficient, because they can't find a worker, because they don't have a worker. And I don't mean not these box checker work. Well, we've got a new box check department. They're like, oh, you don't have all this, and that. As if it works. China's proven it. They're doing better than us in every single metric, and they ain't doing the box checking. Well, you don't have this education, you can't work. And what we need to do is the way they used to do it. You got hired, and then you got OJT, on-the-job training. That's it. Most jobs don't need. You can learn on the job. For maybe 3-4 months, you'll be really, really crappy at that job and make some mistakes. But the best thing is to train them on the job. And the only reason a company is going to do that is if they don't have any candidate or any other option. They're not going to do that, especially in now's climate, is this new attitude of like everyone has to have all these bucks. Now we got guys like Randy Boissonneau saying, I'm a native, I'm a this, I'm a that. They're lying on their resume, and no one has time to verify to make it. And our level of efficiencies have not been going up compared to what's happening in China, who don't have the same issue. And like I said, is every time you have a company, they're always going to say, it's just like farmers. Good luck finding a farmer who says the weather was perfect this year. Very rarely. It's just part of their job because that's how they get their money. That's part of it. Good luck finding a businessman saying that there's lots of workers out there. No, because they don't want to pay for the training. They don't want to pay for the learning. Like a pump curve. Pump curve and learning curve is very similar. And it's that max efficiency. And it's not at the end of their thing. And it's about right there. You know what I mean? 3 months in, that they're really, really efficient. And then when they really get it, their production it dips down. It goes up. And it's right there. And then it continues to go up a little bit past that point, just before it dips, and just a little bit. And then you have after the pump curve and stuff, it's just flat. It's just perfect. Pump curves is something that there's a lot. I mean, a lot of other things. The weaved knowledge is really, really, to me, it's really helped me with learning a lot of things. The 80-20 rule is another one. And so they need to do this where a company is not willing to train anybody. They want to have someone who has 3 years of college where they have paid attention. And, yeah, it's great to have college, but we can't get everyone in colleges. And a lot of times they go to college and they learn all these aspects, which is great for college. Great. They learn all these aspects, but really when their job is, there's only a sliver of what they learn, which is 3-4 months, and they got it. And they're good enough. They're good enough for that job. Maybe not to, and maybe, then they have to learn a new job and a new aspect of that career. They're not as varied as a person. Or you hire the person, you get them in there, and they start going to college at the same time. They'll be way more interested in those college when they're doing the job or learning the job, shadowing someone on a job. But all of these things never happen until the company is like in trouble with and I mean in trouble like they can't hire people. And I'll tell you, I was out west. I was there. Calgary was a boom. Out west, out west was a big boom, and it was cool. Like, okay, I had one guy who had the education. I don't want to say his name. Had the education, had no fucking ambition. He thought he knew everything. Looked at me and you're not woke. And he was a shit worker. I'm like, but on paper, you're the good worker. There was a guy who told me he wanted to be a musician. I wanted to punch him when he told me that. I at the time I was so blue collar. I thought the only thing in the world, the best thing in the world, was to be a plumbing foreman or a plumbing owner. I believe that, okay? And kind of still do. But anyway, and when he told me he wanted to be a musician, I'm like, oh, fuck you. Fuck. And he was a problem at first. There were some things he did. I can tell you the story, okay? I won't ever say his name. And I'll say in the end why he was better than the guy who went to school, who on paper was way better. This guy was he had long, shaggy hair. He said his dad told him to take this job, right? And he was like, I really want to be an artist. And he didn't say it like that, but okay, so this is what happened. I gave him a hard hat. He didn't have the construction mentality, right? But he was a good person. I knew that. I knew he was a good person, trustworthy. Good. He comes and works. And he had a hard hat that was shit, okay? And it was like, he was wearing, I'm like, what is this hard? Why aren't you wearing your hard hat? He's like, it's garbage. And it was before me. The last guy thought, he wanted to be an artist. Didn't give this guy any time. Gave it all to the other guy. And so I'm like, okay, sit in the office. Now this took 4 or 5 hours. I told me this is sit in the office, which is like a disgusting shack, barbecue shack. Literally, our heater was our barbecue. It was disgusting. Loved it. Beside the toilets, okay? So we're like, sit in the shack. You can't go out anywhere. Safety. And I know that the foreman of this site and me, I was the foreman of plumbing and HVAC. So, but he wouldn't have said anything. But the site was, because it was like so much going on. It was a dangerous site, and I was fully aware of this. So I'm like, just sit down. Put this on. Wait out for me. Smoke and drink coffee. 4 hours later, I come back. I give him the hard hat. And like, okay, because it was 4 hours for me to go to the supplier and get this hard hat and come back, just the traffic was awful in that city. At that point I started walking, and I walk at a different pace, work pace, I call it. Some people have to jog to keep up, right? I span my gait well beyond the 132 pace. It's my work walk, okay? And I know it's faster. And I upped it, all right? I really upped it, okay? I'm like, because 4 hours, me and him were down because this frickin' hard hat, right? I was mad. Not at him, just at the whole scenario. Lovely mad, worker mad. And he's trying to keep up. Trying to, right? And literally, I heard that. I looked behind me one time, he wasn't there, and then I heard he had to run to keep up because no one walks like that. And he wasn't complaining. And when he ran behind me to catch up, he didn't have the hard hat on yet. He hit his head. He hit it. And so yeah. I got mad at him. I yelled at him. I'm like, why the fuck did you have the hard hat on? He's like, well, he didn't have time to. And it was partly my fault because I was walking so fast and I didn't understand that he needed guidance to how to put the helmet and to make sure you put it. He needed that, and I didn't give him the benefit. It's my fault. I blame me for him hitting his head. And but at first I yelled. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh fuck, what you idiot. So I had to take him to the hospital. It was no big deal. It wasn't a big. It was a minor thing. I waited for him. He even told me, he's like, you don't have to wait for me. I waited. It was because I felt, first of all, because my first initial reaction was like, why the fuck ain't that fucking helmet on? I didn't say that. Well, maybe I did. I said something, and then instantly, while I was saying, I was like, oh, you're an idiot, Dave. The guy's hurt. Dude, fuck, say it later. But he needed the time to put the thing in and give him the instruction. This is how the helmet goes on. And this is the pace I'm walking, and explain that. And I really learned my lesson that day, that he was eager to work hard, but he wasn't yet given any direction. He wasn't like my other guys, wasn't taught, because the last foreman didn't care about him because on paper he wasn't the guy. So I gave him a little bit more, and not much. I didn't give him much more, but I gave him proper instruction on the job I gave him to do, which was similar, almost exact, to another guy who on paper, fourth year, it's 5-year trade. He's on his 4th year. He ended up doing more. And this guy was a 0 year. I ended up getting him bonuses, and I tried to give him as much as I could through the company to give him his raises. Because I'm like, this guy's way better. Whereas this other guy is like, I'm fucking awesome. And so my thinking, this is my big lesson in my stupid long speech. It isn't the guy who's on paper, it's the guy who wants to be there. That's the one I want. I don't care about but the guy who don't really want to be there, who knows a hell of a lot more, I don't need that guy. I really don't. I'm the foreman. I fucking know the job inside. And if I don't know the job, I'm spending 12 hours and I don't sleep. I'll stand up all night long and go to work. No drugs, no nothing. No coffee needed. Coffee gives you the ups and downs. So if you're going to spend all night, it's best not to do coffee, just to keep intense. So it's spend the time on the guy who wants the job, who wants to learn, who wants to be there with the right attitude is better than the guy on paper that is this with an arrogant, doesn't want to be there, he's better than you attitude. I actually tried to get him fired, that guy, later for another issue. I'm like, get rid of him. He's like, we can't fire him, Dave, because we need him. I'm like, he fucking doesn't work. Doesn't get anything done. He's a fucking arrogant shit. And what the problem is, when you get a guy like that in your mix, and I can't give him shit, Well, then everyone else doesn't work. So I ended up like this is, you're not giving me enough. If I work for a company as a foreman and you're not giving me enough power to give them shit and to give them bonuses, you got to give them both. You got to give them both. You got to take them to the strip joint. Do both, right? You do carrots and sticks. And if the company won't give me that, and you're like, well, you're foreman. Well, then no, I'm not foreman. If I don't have the power to, if I have to always run to you for something, and it happened more than once. And there's a lot of companies who don't understand it because they don't. Most of the time, we've come into a climate of friends and people, and well, on paper is enough. If I read this guy's resume or read this guy's work, that is enough. No, it's not. It's not even close. It's my huge long story on this, on Splack, on work, on people of work, and where we in the West have gone wrong. And it's about the guy who wants to be there, who's got the ripped knees and don't look like he's going to be the great job. He's getting it done. The guy who looks proper, he's got the best North Face clothes, and he's wearing his helly hands and looks like he's all good because, he knows what to wear and this and that. He may just be sitting there leaning. He's holding up walls all day. That's all he's doing, holding up the wall. And we're infecting the work ethic of your other guys who may or may not. As I even heard it the one time when the one said, well, what about him? Well, I'm going to deal with him. I'm talking to you, and I'm going to deal with him. And another problem is, friends and foremans. If you're a foreman, don't be your friend. If you want stuff to done. But we've come to the point where companies make so much money now that they don't care about these things. They mere care about the check. And we're losing. Alex says, on the sidelines, I have it. I'm sorry, I don't know what you said, buddy. Alex, are you a girl? I don't want to, Dylan. Okay, Dylan. Okay, Dylan says, on the sidelines, I have it. You're not with Leon all times. No, I'm not. Taking all the benefits. She doesn't work for you. Who is this? Sure, Blinky? Who, me? Oh, God, I don't even know what you're saying. Are you actually a person? Yeah. Anyway, that's my little spiel on Splack. Spiel on Splack. Spiel on work. Leanne Rich? Who's this? I don't know. Saying some serendipitous thing, it would seem, Alex. It would seem. I have no idea what you're saying. And no, I'm sorry. Sorry, I don't understand. And it sounds serendipitous. But Brian says, Oliver, I think I heard the Alberta Addiction Approach is merit-based. They get more funding for the more people they get recovered, unlike British Columbia, Ontario. You just throw money at the problem and not expect results. Yeah. Well, that's what Pierre mentioned the other day, and I'm not sure how this, but that makes sense. It matters on how effective it is. I think one of the problems is also it has to be one of the problems with the rehab that I looked into is it's short. It's 3 months, and there was like one musician who said trying to get off of H or whatever. He's like, because it's only 3 months, it's very very high recidivism. Like criminals, they're back at it. It's not enough time, and it's not enough for some people, right? 3 months is enough for a very small percentage. The amount of people that actually get off drugs is very low. Problem, he went to a high expensive one that cost like $15,000 in the 90s. So you can imagine it's like $100,000 now. So, and in that one, it was really low, very low percentage, less than a third that were actually getting off. And that was, you know what I mean? So they were one, that was about results, right? Because people were paying for these results in America, California. But that's exactly what it is. What's this sure Blinky? I don't know. Pinky in the brain? That's my opinion on that one anyway. But Carney, is a pretty good politician. She's pretty darn good. Danielle Smith. We can look at that. I can Google about that, but I don't think I want to go too far into it. Let's see what else Danielle Smith. She only has 400,000 followers. Now it's 15 hours ago. Well, this one was 15 minutes, 35 now. Now is the time to pave the way for a more prosperous and united Canada by unleashing our energy sector to achieve energy independence and North American energy dominance. Canceled projects. Oh my God. Oh my. This is not gonna make me happy. Grassy Point LNG project, 10 billion. Canceled. Okay, Australia's worldwide petroleum in 2018, it was ending plans to build an LNG gasport plant at Grassy Point. It decided not to renew their agreement because it wanted to focus on 50% partnership and Chevron's Kitiman project, okay? So 10 billion. West Coast Canada, I'll just give them quick. 25 billion. ExxonMobil Imperial withdrew its proposal to export LNG facility in Prince Rupert. Aurora LNG, 28 billion. Okay, I'm going to go through it faster. Another 11 billion with Prince Rupert LNG. Shell canceled the project, saying that the decision was the result of global portfolio review. Yeah, they're like, Canada's portfolio sucks. And then another LNG Pacific. Right now, Asia is like they're coming of age. Like they're getting like we were in the 80s, right? They like shopping malls and strip malls and driving their car and they're like how we had it in the 80s and wear weird clothing. And they're starving. There's no energy in that part of the world. I don't know why. And Russia can't give it all. Russia's the pipelines, and Russia's actually oil production levels are going down, especially since this war. They need expertise to do what they're doing in there, and they can't produce it. Remember, Russia's economy is the size of New York State. It's not that big. So anyway, so they can't give it all. LNG is the way of the future because liquefied natural gas, so it's very concentrated. It can be put on a ship, and it's easier. And then the next one, the reason why it's LNG, it's actually to hydrogen. Hydrogen is really you got a lot of bang for your buck with that stuff. It's the next, but LNG is the step there. It's just like changing natural gas to propane. You know what I mean? Changing orifices and stuff like that. There's more to it, but it's not a big deal to go, especially with expertise, from LNG to hydrogen. And all the industries in Germany, like the industries of the people that know, and Germany is like the high end industry. Basically, what they told the Schultz, they're in an election right now, is that hydrogen is what they want. All the companies said we want hydrogen energy because they can do everything they want. They can create the heat, it creates the power, it can put it anywhere. There's some brilliant things with it. So LNG is the next up. First of all, we had oil, okay? They used like sluggy, really crappy oil, and then diesel, and then diesel, and then they made gas, which gas it's better in a lot of ways. If we were to have all diesel, you go to Europe, it's awful, man. It's awful. Like certain parts of downtown, the amount of diesel, you're sitting there eating your tea. You're not drinking your tea. You're drinking in the diesel fumes. It's horrible. And now the efficiencies got better. But then we made gas, okay? It was a small step, but it was a pretty big step if you're outside drinking tea, and it's not as loud and like, right? And then natural gas became a thing, and that was a step up better from gas. And then they were going to go from LNG most likely to LNG most likely. Oh my God, Trumpy. And it's going to go from that LNG liquefied natural gas to hydrogen, and then they say oxygen. I don't know. Hydrogen's the most abundant though. Yeah, I am. Oh, that's great. Great. That's the future. That's where we're going. And then after that, it'll be just pure energy. And who knows where that's, you know what I mean? It's going to be, you know, like you've seen on thing. That'll be the future. But what you can see today, remember, it takes time to build these things, but that's how it's going. So LNG is what we should be focusing all of our future on, like I believe, the governmental things. And look at, 6 projects and canceled of LNG right now. And all of these things would have sold our LNG at a very high cost. Most of them would have gone to sold to Asia. Philippines right now needs power big times. Vietnam needs power. China needs power. And LNG is the cleaner way. It needs cold. Cold helps it. Well, we got that in abundance in Canada. So that's going to be a factor. Going forward is going to be it should be the way. But we've had this horrible government in place that says, no, we're not going to do it. And the future is that. Anyway, so Alberta. And remember, natural gas and hydrogen and all these things. You get hydrogen from natural gas. You can get hydrogen from natural gas. You can get it from water, and that's where it's going to be coming from eventually. We're going to be able to make power cheap somehow, and then you get a little cup of ocean water, and then you make hydrogen, right? And then you also get oxygen, which another industrial plant uses, you know. So that's where it's headed. But today, the easiest and cheapest way to get hydrogen is you clean up basically natural gas to get the hydrogen out. And that's just like to give you, this is very layman stuff, right? This is basic stuff that every Canadian should be fully aware of this. But most people aren't. These green people, these green idiots are like, well, no, we'll just stop it. They're building like 3 coal plants, like huge coal plants every day in China. Because they have to have the power. They're building the stuff. And it's not like they're going to stop. Frontier Oil Sands Maya project, $20.6 billion. Teck Resources canceled the Northeastern project in 2020, citing political controversies surrounding the climate change policies and indigenous rights. $26 billion, and they specifically said politics. Oh yeah, sorry. And this one, Chrystia, another $18 billion of LNG project. Uncertainty in the financial markets over risks associated with building pipelines. Politics. So right there's $40 billion. That's just to build it. You know what I mean? Every year. See, these projects give the government money every time they sell a cup of LNG. The government gets their cut, right? They don't got to do nothing. They just take their cut. And then if you let them all and they're getting lots, and the government needs more money, they're like, hey, we're going to take a bigger cut. You know? And right now, selling it like LNG, really high value add, big money we can be making off of it. Or we're selling our Brent crude to America at a lower rate. And that, you know, that's a good thing. They're our greatest partner. But Aspen Oil Sands, Imperial Oil, said it won't go forward until Alberta lifts its oil production restriction program meant to support local prices. Okay. Dunkirk Oil Sands, SAGD. Coke Oil Sands operating. Bitumen using steam-assisted gravity drainage. That's the new system. $2.4 billion. It doesn't say why they closed it, but that's a cool system. Synovus is one of the companies that was like forefront of that one. And they use steam so they put all these pipes down and they put steam into the oil sands, and then it drips down, it gets more liquefied, and then it drips down and they get it. So they actually, like, you look at it, these are really cool. They're the coolest plants, because especially if you're a plumber, they're the really coolest plants because you don't have to actually destroy the earth and open mine and all that stuff. You just pipes and heat and steam. So it uses a lot of water. It can do the recycling water. The thing is the government needs to get in and help these projects come forward. This is technology. Like you look at one of these steam plants, and it's like forest. Right? You got pipes. Trees grow back. It's deep underground. I think that's the best way. It's not the only way, of course, right? Another one. Moskwa, Sagdi Oil Sands, about $1 billion. Coke, another one. Coke Oil Sands operating canceled the Northeastern project in December, citing uncertainty in the regulatory and economical environment. Uncertainty in the regulatory environment. Yet another. This is all politics. This is what we've had. We've had politics destroy. Another $3 billion here with Royal Dutch. In New Brunswick, $1 billion. Whatever. Brook Shale project. They proceeded to do some consultation process. They pulled out. They're like, fuck you. Quebec. Saguenay. Energy Saguenay. LNG. $4 billion. And then another $10 billion. They cited Canada's political context. This is politics. Mackenzie. Valley Gas Pipeline. The Mackenzie one is a beautiful one. That's the one that would go up north through their thing. And remember, you can tap off of that and create cities off of this stuff, right? Imperial Oil, 2000, whatever. They canceled it, citing environmental issues. Basically, the approval process is going to cost them so much money, they're not even sure if they're going to get it. Energy East Pipeline, $15.7 billion. TC Energy canceled oil sands pipeline amid decline in global oil prices. Okay. And the National Energy Board expanded its scope of the environmental review. The pipeline would have carried oil from Alberta to Nova Scotia to New Brunswick. Northern Gateway, another $8 billion, canceled. Oh. This is why we got to get these people out. Okay, Stephen Guilbeault, personally, and there's environmental policies right here. So 35, 50, 60, okay, $200 billion in an initial investment. $200 billion initial investment, plus all the money that every year that gets it in other jobs and all this stuff. Continuing on, that basically the government has canceled because of their environmental policies. Now, I don't like oil. I don't want to see oil, but I also like to live in a world that we live in. So, how do we get our oil going in the future? Is where we have scientists and research and maybe tax them a little bit so we can put into research to make it better, make it cleaner. That's the only way. Ending it, we're just going to have coal plants in China, and it takes 3 days to come here. Okay, there's her. Who do we got? I'm going to close this for a second. Brian Oliver, even homeless, and I've seen a lot of agencies are a part of the problem. Homelessness and poverty has become a business. It's more about getting heads through the door than actually helping people. I agree. And there's like things like there's people that they work at there, and it's mentality. Mentality, to me, is the biggest issue of our time, and no one talks about it. It's okay. So we used to have priests that like every little church they had like a few hundred people that go to this church, and they were there. They were the flock, right? So that guy worried, as priest, he was always a guy, that priest worried about the mentality of his 300 people. It's, 300, 500, whatever, right? That's it. He was worried about that. Mentality. How is your mentality? How is this going? Well, since no one goes to church, very few people go to church anymore and get that every week or whatever kind of thing. We've supplanted it with drugs and rock and roll. Well, that ain't helping, is it? It ain't doing a good job. I think we need the balance. The rock and roll is great. I love music. 10 minutes a day, love it. It's good to do if it helps your mood and stuff like that. But it's not enough for everybody as a whole culture going together. I'm not saying we can revive religion. It's impossible. But we need to have more politicians that are concerned about when they do a policy They have to concern themselves with the mentality of the project. What mentality am I creating with this project? Now, an example of poor mentality is very simple. These damn liberal policies of these new bills that they were going to have a new agency that was going to, for the speech laws, a new agency that would have been able to, anyone could have complained to this agency and they can cancel somebody. So, of course, these like freaking people in university and stuff have all the time to cancel, and they're in the know. So that would create a very negative mentality. First of all, I'll start controlling my own speech because I'm fearful. Second of all, it'll make a whole fear out of everybody, and it'll make a lot of people angry because they're like, why is that guy gone? Why is this person gone? Oh, because of this unelected board can have it. That is an example. Controlled speech, making people say certain words, saying, we don't use that word right now. We call it people kind. When Trudeau did that, that is creating a awful mentality. And I remember I went to this one meeting, and I'm not against these people because they were all indoctrinated in it. But they're like, what are your pronouns or something like that? And they asked me that. I'm like he, but I didn't know. I'm like, what? I didn't take, this is the beginning of the college rules. I didn't take your classes. I don't go to university when these all were university people. And they're expecting me to know, and when I didn't, I seen all their faces because we're all in the Zoom. It's like watching the Hollywood stars all look at me with horror because I'm a plumber, but I don't treat anyone any different. Everyone would have got a grade, but I didn't know. I wasn't in the bubble, so I said the wrong things, and they're like, oh, I could see it. And there's few in particular were just like, the guy that was running it did a really good job, and he understood, I think. But a lot of them others didn't get. They don't get it. You're like, well, you don't know the word. You're a bad person. Mentality that created was just ridiculous. So I didn't read the same book as you. So we can no longer be on the same page. I'm not a good human being to you, worth value to speak because of this mentality. So when you put something forward, and this is my original thought, thanks, Brian, for bringing me back, but when you go into these clinics, if that person is looking at you as a lesser human being or less knowledgeable human being than someone who's just in a pickle, right? That's all they should be. Just in a pickle, you can get out of this, no big deal. That type of person is the good mentality. But that's not what's happening in these clinics. You're a number, and you're a piece of crap, and you're just a hassle to them, and they need to have protections, and they need to have these guards against you, and then when you leave their office, and there's the three of them in the office, they're like, oh, these fucking people, you smell that guy. That's the mentality we've had, and it ain't working. We're getting our ass handed to us by fucking China, who like a generation ago was literally people who didn't have shoes. They couldn't afford wooden shoes, for crying out loud, and they're kicking our ass because we got people that people are people. And sometimes we get in bad predicaments. And sometimes we get put ourselves in a pickle, and sometimes other people put ourselves in a pickle. Don't matter. If your job is to help the people and you have a bad mentality, bad attitude, bad mentality about said people, you should be fired. Your manager should be fired. Number one with me. And then number two is you have to, I agree, 100%, is results. And the results. Is this person in better mental state after he's come to you? Or are they in just the same mental state? Are they actually achievable to get out of these things? No. A lot of it is, in my opinion, is we've had WEF people who look down their nose and they don't have a fucking clue about what that person has gone through. You don't understand that, like, these gangs, they have a huge portion of the population encapsulated. When we have MPs, our leaders, literally coke dealers, dealing and working with coke, what do you think happens to the regular person? They're in a boat they're in the water without a boat in the middle of the ocean. You haven't got a chance in hell, you fucking pieces of shit. But you never had those people come after you, so you don't even have a clue, and you look down at these people. That's the problem. Why Davos and this, and then they virtue signal us. Say you got to do this, and then fly their private jet. You know, it's needs. And now that Trump's in, I can speak my mind. I don't care. I'm already. They speak my mind, and it's time for them to get their earful, and they need to be run out of politics. They need to be run out of management. And it's time to get other regular people, just regular people that have a good mentality. And I mean regular people as in they don't think they're anything above. Even if you have, I've dealt with people with university educations and they just treat to be normal. And then I learned things from, and a lot of times those that like you can tell they already have an opinion of me from my my reputation precedes me. But I'm talking to them. I know I can out debate them by 10 to fold because they're the type of person that relies on their resume and their circle of friends and their reputation to win arguments. Well, that doesn't win arguments when people are looking at you 50-50. They're the people that I don't like people who believe that, oh, they're right. Why? Because they're my friend and they're the person I like more and they're better put together and all this. No. If you're having a debate, all those other things are bullshit. What matters is what the truth is and what the words that are coming out of the facts of each argument. But a lot of people have been raised in our society up to the political level that because they look the right thing, they've got the right resume and then they rely, and then what happens is that they get mush brain. They don't have to work anymore because they can rely on their 5 years ago I went to university for 4 years. Well, I've been 10 years Googling and finding out what the hell's going on. The worst beat me in an argument. 90% of the time, it doesn't happen as easy as you think, unless you have it. That's my opinion. No, that's truth. It's just truth. And Trump is the one that's pardoning it, putting it forward. That Trump, they said, was no good. He wasn't worth talking to. He wasn't this and that. Well, he crushed all these people. And then they said, no, you're not worthy again. And then again. And at the same time, the proof is in the pudding that these other nations are doing better. Anyway, that's a long rant. And I shouldn't be angry. But the mentality of people needs to change. And the mentality of these clinics and stuff like that need to change. And it starts with finding work. We need more work for everybody. Then there is this whole society that's running us has been on, well, we'll just offshore our work because those people can do it. We don't need that type of work here. Yeah, we do. We need every type of work here. We need manual labor to high-end work because you know what? There's some proof that a guy who has a manual labor job who knows what he loves and loves what he knows can raise a kid that can be the next genius. Geniuses don't only come from genius families. They come a lot of times from that because that guy, just because he's labor and he doesn't want to work beyond his thing and he has his circle of family of life, that doesn't make him stupid. But that's the mentality. Oh, you didn't go to university. 4 years of 4 years of university. What? All of a sudden you're smart now? Come on. 4 years of university. How about the guy who's been 20 years in construction? And this is another one. This one broad. I don't mean against women. I love women and respect them. But this one was one. She was just a piece of work. She did 4 years of university and she was taking project management. And she was the kind of girl. She was all flirty. She's pretty, and she used it and didn't understand that she really wasn't that bright. But she had a university education. She's telling me. So we're both taking project management this time. And she's like, oh, well, I'm taking it. And it's learning. And I'm like, oh, really? What's it? But she's like, you wouldn't understand because I'm a plumber, right? And she's talking with engineers as if they're. And so she's going on, blah, 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 blah. And so I'm like, well, what are you taking? And I'm like, she's explaining what she wouldn't understand it. Well, as I do, I'm like, that's like what an average plumber does. Like, we have to organize material. We have 50,000 parts as a plumber, just in a house. 50,000 different types of material. You have to organize your project. You have to organize your labor. A project management is what a plumber does every day. It's, it takes 5 years to become a plumber, so you have to have a background skill. But the definition of a project has a definite start and a definite end. So what is construction? Project. They say project management is the biggest thing going forward. So this woman, because she did some office job, she went to university, took a Bachelor of Arts, right? Kept on going to university. I mean, going to high school. Woo. And is looking down at me because, in project management, I'm like, you don't even get it. Like, every single plumber. This is basic. This is like, if they don't understand this, maybe they don't know it by the terminology, but they know it offhand. If you give them all these things, they'll get it 10 times faster than you, and I did. And this is the thing that people have understand, and it's always been the case and always will be the case. You're not a lesser person because of this job you've taken is this or that. Maybe just circumstances. And I'm not trying to defend myself in this case, except it's the mentality of those that have been running companies that they didn't start, right? The entrepreneur, look at most entrepreneurs are not, they're a little bit different. Anyway, that's a long bullshit. Full of shit I am. If you're truly speaking the truth, you'll always offend people, and people who will try to defame and discredit you. You have to be willing to be a villain in other people's story. It's not possible to please everyone. No, you're right. You have to be, yeah, you're right. And this is the speech, the right to be offended is not the right for anything. That's just on you. It's your problem. And I do get offended, and if I don't control when I get offended, it happens in my comments, and I usually attack back, and it's not right. Being able to control when you're offended is something that they've collectively decided. Because you're a university person, you can sit there and say in university, well, I'm offended, and then that means that everyone's supposed to stop. No, you're offended. That's your problem. Did it break a law? Did they say anything verbally that no? Well, then shut up. But you're offensive. You need to deal with your own emotions on your own time, and don't put your emotions on someone else. And that literally was going. It literally was flying. Like, we're going to shut someone down because you're offended. And this is happening still on YouTube. People are like, oh, we're going to flag this guy. We're going to block him. And then YouTube is like, well, because these assholes, what's what they do for a living? They're picking winners and losers. Well, yeah, we're going to be able to cancel people. It still happens. Happening in jobs. It's still happening. And it really needs to be attacked. It needs to be attacked in a civil way, but it needs to be destroyed. Or else we're going to be communist. That's the problem. I'm not thinking halfway. We're going communist. Liquid gal. Our wages are high compared to these other countries like India, China, Mexico, plus the environmental standards are low or nil. So companies go to those countries. Yeah. What there is a way out of this, okay? So what they do, what they're talking about is, okay, there's going to be a new type of aluminum. You can take aluminum a shitty way, or you can take it the good way. And we do it the good way because we have regulations. What they're going to start doing is coming. You want to mine it that way? Fine. We're going to give you an environmental tax on top of it, because in Canada, and I don't believe in having crazy regulations that are ridiculous, but having a decent standard is there's a balance, and we went off the balance, having a disapproval of everything, but having an environmental tax and human tax and mentality tax, these things should be involved in it. And we just tax it. They're like, yeah, you can. If you look at what they do to cobalt, oh my God, I don't even want to really think about it. These plants it's like the dark ages, man. These people are pickaxes and these horrible death to their lungs conditions. Well, that's fine. That is, this Chinese company was basically exploiting these people, and they're basically unaware that they're probably only going to live about 10 years after they work in this mine. Like they're done. They're done. Most of them are dying at 30, 34, I think is the average life, the people that are working in it, right? That are in the deep. It's really bad. There's a documentary on it. Yeah, okay, fine, I guess. But they just need to tax that out. So it's out of the market. Our wages and stuff like that, we have higher production levels when we have higher skill levels. So that kind of gets thrown out, liquid gal. When you have more educated workforce, which we are by our education standards, yeah. And in China and India, they're hitting a brick wall there too. They have like days in Beijing you can't actually go outside. They literally tell you can't go outside, and it's not because of COVID. They're hitting their limits now as well. Once you get to a certain standard, the people are going to start demanding certain things. China is going to be harder, but India, no. And we can always the machine is going to be the answer in our places. We're going to automate ourselves into beating human capital, and our humans are just as good as their humans. But our machines, because we're more technologically advanced, we have more technological stuff available to us in our country than India. They got it in India, but in small doses. But in here, America, because we're so close, we have a lot of these technological advances readily available. We just got to buy it, you ship it, and there's no lag time or anything. And so because of these things, we'll automate our way, and a machine can build things faster than any human, and that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening now. Automation, scales of efficiency through automation and AI and technological. And we have more technology. Germany is another country. Why is like the example that you give is, and I really do appreciate your comment. And you're right in some ways, but Germany is an example. There's no reason Germany should be a manufacturing hub. Like, why the hell is Germany a manufacturing? They don't have oil. They have coal. They don't have energy, any other energy. They don't have natural resources. They don't have any of these things. Why are they like, you know what I mean? They're not like, they have to pay tariffs. They have to pay all these extra fees. They have to ship it to their country. Why are they It's because they're technologically advanced and they're just ahead of everybody. You can't build anything better than the Germans in some aspects, in some areas, because they got the technological know-how. And it's not like they're better human beings. It's just the technological know-how is up the street. It's not calling a place in India you've never been to, or and nothing against India. India's a great country, and they're going to get there too. But where the West, I mean, and India I can't really include it because it's a great country. But where we can beat other countries is just technological, and not in every area, right? In some areas, we have a natural thing. We have all the natural resources here, in my opinion, right? But do companies do leave? And then tariffs. Trump's tariffs are like brilliant. And I'm not talking about tariffs on like friendly nations, like India is a friendly nation, but tariffs on countries that first of all don't care about their citizens, that don't care about their towns. Well, if there's a plant that you built in your town and it's dumping stuff, and we have proof that it's destroying the people in our town, well, we have like special agencies that'll know the things. Department of Energy is one of them. They know things that we'll never get reports. They'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. Well, they should be tariffing, especially these companies, handing them up for that. But it's always going to be a battle up and down. And a lot of times building a factory of the future, like Biden, I shouldn't even mention it, but the CHIPS Act, what's about to happen in America, okay? Chips. The new chips of the future are coming. And China is, okay, I'm going to use this example. Okay, so what's happened in China? They have a 7 MNP, these seven, okay, size chip. Just we'll worry about that. The 7 is the number, size-wise. That's for washing machines. I bought some cell phones from China to see how good they were, how their cell phones were, because I'm investigative. I want to know international stuff. I don't know. I'm an idiot. This is my hobby, okay? So I get these phones, and they were like, they had the screen that was wonderful. Everything was great about it. It had Google, a form of Google on it. It was downsized for this thing, but you go, and then a second later it would screen up. You know, it'd give you the sound right away, but like as this person, there'd be a delay. You know, so it was everything of my phone I have. I have a cheapy phone now. It's a great phone. No problems with it. But it had all these things but it wasn't the speed. So, you know what I mean? After about 10 minutes of using it, you're like, oh, I'm just going to put this down. I'm not going to research. I'm not waiting anymore. You remember on the internet before when we first started getting on the internet? I used to tell my friends, people I knew at work, that I'm like, hey, if you want to learn about the computer, is you know what? It's go on the internet, but the best thing to do so you don't get frustrated, go make a sandwich or something. Load the page and then walk away. Don't sit and stare at the screen, and you'll do it more. That's how you should get people to get on the internet more. And that's how it is with these phones. So 7 is what China can build right now. 3 is what we're having our average cell phones. They're getting down to like points. And the plants that they're building in Holland, BASF is the company that's building. There's other ones too. Obviously, the one in Taiwan, but the one in Netherlands and in Holland, Rutte, the Prime Minister of Rutte, he was the Prime Minister of Holland at the time, was called to go meet Xi Jinping. Now, if you are aware of this, Xi Jinping doesn't meet other leaders. He hasn't ever met Trudeau. The only time was when there was a big meeting and he sat beside him. But if Trudeau were to go do a thing, he doesn't even see Xi Jinping. He won't even see you. Okay, Trump, well, probably will because everyone's probably scared of Trump, and then they should be. But I don't think they did. Like at first, like there wasn't real So Rutte of Holland. Okay, this is to show you. I'm telling you how big of a deal it was. Met with Xi Jinping. And I think Rutte is a stoic, so he didn't say exactly. But what came out of the meeting was they said that BASF is pulling out of China. They're not going to put their equipment in there. BASF, what they were doing is they put their people in there. They sell them the equipment and the technological people in there. They would go in there, right? Their people, no training, no handing of transfer. No. Holland, where we got this. They're making through light. They're making chips through light, okay? And the layers, it's unbelievable. I don't want to go into the details. So he basically said, we're pulling out. We're gone. Like, what? Holy crap, right? And there was a lot of people that were like, what the hell? He destroyed Holland's next level because basically Xi Jinping was giving him the strong arm. So you give this, he said no, and he pulled out. So BASF, the best chips of the world, who were in China at the time, were gone. And everyone said, a lot of these, New York Times has a great article on how Rutte was an idiot. And then Biden, now time goes on, Biden made the CHIPS Act. And Rutte is now the head of NATO. And the reason he's head of NATO is because he stood up to China and won. He won. What happened with BASF? It got more money than ever. They were being demanded to transfer information. Okay, so I'm giving you the answer to this. To my last point before I read your next one, Liquid Gal. It's a long answer. So this is what happened. Okay, the CHIPS transfers this. Biden does a CHIPS Act and doesn't say you have to give your information to our country. No, we don't care. Bring your company here though. And they're there. They're building these chip factories in America right now. Some we know, some places we don't know. And there is going to be a glut of chips because this money was tons and tons of money. And I don't know if it was totally all Biden, but Trump is going to be handling it now. And AI, he's the next stage of it where these chips are going to be used. So we're going to have like an abundance of chips. And what's happened in quantum computers, Google is having a problem. They have this new computer. And they're like, it's really smart. It does all these things, but we don't know what to do with it. This is the problem. We need inventors, right? So there's actually a competition out right now. Google's giving. I recommend you look at it if you got time. I should do it. About what we can do with these quantum computers. They don't know what to do because they're like, we know what it does. We know it's better, but what should we do with it? Where will it be good? And that's like, these computer engineers do that, but then there's medical doctors and say, well, that could be good for if they look into it, or engineers and builders and manufacturers and all these people who they're begging for actually with money to say, hey, help us make programs for this thing because we don't know. And that's what's the same thing with chips. We're going to have all these chips in America that we're not going to be China ain't going to get them. India ain't going to get them. Other competitive Russia and stuff, they ain't going to be handed. They're going to get them, of course, but they're going to get them in small numbers like it is now. When you buy your Huawei phone from China, all the chip money, it's not from there. It's from Taiwan or America. And as soon as you take the chip out, and what the phones that I bought, I was talking about, were all Chinese. It was 100% Chinese made. That's why I bought it. I'm like, oh no, I want to see what the Chinese, what they can do, what their capabilities. And it's nothing. It's nothing compared to a $150 phone. Our $150 phone blows it out of the water. And this is their top phones that they can build. So, you know what I mean? So we're going to have all of these chips, and we're going to be like, well, what the hell are we going to do with it? And there's going to be inventor types. AI is going to help. And it's going to be invented all this crap, and good crap, all these new things. Remember in the 50s where they're like, oh, and this saving device, this vacuum cleaner, it plugs into the wall. You don't have to sweep your carpet anymore or beat your rugs, right? All of that stuff. I guarantee these type of commercials, they're coming. We're about to have a golden age, and it's not only Trump. Trump is going to make sure. I think Trump's he's added steroids to it. I don't want to use that word anymore. Too many people are using it. He's added the juice to it, whatever. He's got it going. He's unleashed the dam, and it's flowing. But it was already ready to go because we were already separating the AI, which is the future, and we were winning with AI. We were already building the chip plants here and pulling away from China. Taiwan is the head right now with the DKBP whatever company, but they haven't been at the forefront for a long time now. They're still building really great chips and everything, but they're not the leading company anymore. And it's because other companies, you know how it goes up and down. They're going to be great for a long time, but they're not the leaders. It's going to be the leader of chips. Manufacturing has always been America, but it was a very small percentage going to like Skunk Works and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The military industrial complex. But now that we're about to get them a lot of chips and just to regular people. So this is going to be a golden age of materials. And it don't matter what this country has cheap labor. We got the chips, and the one problem is right now China contains about 80% of all of our rare earth metals and critical minerals and stuff like that are needed to build these chips and the things that the chips will power, robots and stuff like that. And we'll be able to build robots soon enough. And you want a good workforce. Okay, so what did you say? These supercomputers use thousands of liters of water to keep them cool. Oh, they use lots. Cooling is a big problem. Why Canada? This is why Canada needs to be. They need to have a data center place up in northern Canada, northern Ontario. I'd say by James Bay because I love that area. I really want to have a city up there. They should be having actually, it really should be to be honest, to make sense the most, because it's protected by security reasons. The Ring of Fire is way up north. It's got it'll be the one way in, it'll be very easily to secure it. The United States Air Force is invested in that area. It's actually it's a double whammy, and there's going to be pulling out a lot of, not all, but a lot of the resources there. So we need to be doing a data center revolution. LNG, data centers, oxygen thing, all these things need cold, okay? And if you have already cold outside, -10, it's a help. 40 degrees. It's a lot of energy less. And you're right. We will become a movie. Yeah, we are. We're Wall-E. You're right. But it's going to have all kinds of stuff. We're going to have lots of stuff. I think it's going to be, there was that really good show, Fallout. And Fallout was like horrible. But look at how the future people were. It's going to be kind of like that. More, I think. Our wages are high. Yeah. And it's the only way we beat them, and I mean them, is because I'm a Canadian. I'm a nationalist, okay? I believe in, like, us versus them in a country, and I don't care your race or color or creed or any of that stuff. Are you Canadian? Yeah? Okay, we're good. That's it for me. And I mean it as a competition way. I don't of course I don't mean it in a way of anger or war. I don't want to see war. I was a soldier. I know I don't want it. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing. It's good to prepare for it. But the nationalist idea is we can beat them economically, right? This is economics, so it's friendly. Is by being the way we did it last time. There was guns, germs, and steel. That's how the West took over the world, okay? Before it was kind of like China had the big sway, and India was a superpower. We couldn't go on it. We couldn't beat the Native Americans. They were like wicked wars. The Native American tribes, they called it like savages and stuff like, because it would just just destroy us in fighting. They kick our ass. Like our way of like doing these marching in lines with like an officer tells them to do. They were laughing at us and wiping us off the map. Our armies that came here a lot. The only reason, and I don't want to say beat the Native Americans because I'm part, but it's like very, very, very small. But it's still, I love Native Americans. But the reason they actually could expand is because we had guns, germs, and steel. So the guns, technological, germs, technological, because we were dealing with animals, and so we created a biotechnological advantage, and steel, technological. That's it. Otherwise, they were kicking our butts. I don't want to, and I don't want to make it like us versus them because it wasn't like that. But it was their land, and they were like small tribes everywhere. They're like, oh, yeah, you come on our coast. They wiped us out, wiped them out all the time. There's all kinds of stories about these ships that came here, and then there's like, they're gone, right? Thanksgiving, there was a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that as well. But how it was colonized, it was because the I shouldn't have even said that. I almost want to cut that out because I know people take it the wrong way. And I love the Native American culture. I think it's a great part of us. But they were the warrior culture, and they kicked the Europeans' ass every time until they had technological advantage. So when they had a technological advantage, India became the pearl or the jewel of the empire of the British Empire. What was Britain? Britain was a little tiny little speck of an island. No way were they more powerful in any shape, way, or form than India. No way. They were like, what? India had a civilization that was beautiful and well developed, with a religion that was very well developed. But when the Brits came there and how they took over, they're not there now, right? It was because they had the technological advantage, 1,000 to 1 kind of thing, right? And so the only way that, and now we're never going to go into the war part of it anymore. No one wants that. But how we economically can beat other countries, I feel like that, I don't care, whatever. I said it. I'm sorry if I offended you. I love the Native American culture. I think we need to bring it more into our daily life. And it starts with the artists, to be honest. It needs to be from the artists need to do it. Make it regular and make it regular talk. Especially, too, you get a European. I know I'm off topic, but you get a European. They can't say our names. Like, what do you mean? It's Ashawenge. What do you mean, Ashawenge? You can't even read that name because they're not even used to these. They didn't. Where an average Canadian, Canada is a Native American name, right? Small village. And yes, we have a lot of English names and stuff, but we have a lot, of Native American things. And so we can speak a lot of Native American words as if it's home. It's our words, right? But Europeans, the guys, English especially, they're like having trouble. Why have I never understood? I'm like, because we were looking at a map and I was showing them, and it's like us, because it's not a part of their culture. It's part of our culture. It is. It's in our towns, their town names. Never mind everywhere else. So the technological advantage is how we are going to dominate the world, Canada, in an economic way, how we are going to keep ourselves working and going forward. And then space. That's my opinion. I know that's really bad. On the same page as you, if the average Canadian know about the resource in this country, our money should be on par with the euro. We only owned and use our natural. If we only owned or use our natural resources properly, we should be. The thing is what happens on that. And I agree with you a little bit. This is my part of contention. 100% agree. But the one part is that. Building projects takes money from outside. We don't have. It's an international money world now, and this is the bad thing. And I do think that we should have a Canadian oil company that makes oil for Canada. I know it was sold under, but I think that company that makes oil, isn't a technologically advanced company, isn't anything. It does the tried, tested in 1950 true way, and every dollar that corporation makes goes right into the coffers of the government, and it can compete with the others. But you can't rely. The government has never been good at being advanced or getting higher productive levels. They're never going to be at the forefront. If we were to own all these natural resources and use government companies to do it, We'll be in about 10 years, we'll be so far behind, we'll be like Russia. Russia can't actually produce their own oil. They cannot expand any of their oil supply. They're losing oil supply because it's on the tundra and there's a lot of expansion. And every time something breaks down, they have to shut that oil down, that whole freaking thing that was drilled, because they don't have the technological wherewithal. Their government, under communism, they could do this because they could like beat their people into submission and make them do things they didn't want to do. But now under this other thing, you can't make someone do what they don't want to do. They can no longer keep up with their oil. Their oil production is going down because they pulled all the American, European technological, the people that know the stuff that are at the forefront. They're gone. They're gone. They can't go in there. They can't even work in that country, and a company's pulled out. So, a one that kind of competes and sells oil, old, tried, tested, and true methods, and then yeah, for sure. I think we should be doing that. We had it before, and they sold it. Petro-Canada, I don't know the full extent of it. Happened. It was right when I was getting into politics. I don't think we should have sold it. Yeah, maybe. It was some problems with it. But a pure and simple pulling oil out of the ground by the government or whatever, or natural resource, that's a guaranteed sold product. It's not a cyclical one. Makes sense to me. United Arab Emirates is a country that has they take a lot of their money, and they're just a great nation. And I only think, in a small percentage, just to help the people, the average worker class people. That's what I think is the only other way is to take more per barrel off of what do they call that? Not crown. You know what I mean? Not tariffs. Shoot, I forget the word. I've been rambling for so long. And they take a little bit of money. Off of every barrel of oil they sell, they got to take crown, whatever the fuck. Shoot. Now it's really going to bother me if I don't get this name. Royalties. Take the royalties off of, you know what I mean? They just increase the royalties, but you take them too high, and then the new investment won't come. There's a balance. That's why I do believe that would help. This is one of the richest countries in the world. That's why you've always hated free trade agreements. Yeah, the free trade agreements, such a long thing. Sometimes they're really good. They're really, really good. They give us cheap fruit, and they only will buy our product. If another country doesn't have a free trade agreement with us, with them, so we're going to use Chile, okay? So Chile can buy Venezuelan oil, right? And that country tariffs their oil at 10%, say. So, and then we have a free trade agreement. So we have a 10% discount. We have a 10% discount on our oil because there's a free trade agreement with us and not the other country. In Canada, we are an exporting nation, so we want every advantage to be able to sell our product. If we get on the same level playing field, we'll be able to sell more product than them. So the free trade agreement with us works in a lot of ways because we export our products more than America is a lot of importing and stuff like that. So there's about some countries it needs to be tariffs, like China, who our investor class in America and Canada has built China. China wasn't built on their own dime. It was American money. They opened it up 1981 because someone was sleeping with the whatever. So under Nixon and Kissinger, they decided, and I like Kissinger in a million ways, but this is a big one. He's passed now, God rest his soul. He was, I like a lot of his things. Politically, he was just awesome. But the one thing I hugely disagree with, he should never have allowed, I should have pulled the plug 10 years ago on the deal with China when we realized that they were doing nefarious things in the wide open. And once you're doing illegal activity in the wide open, it's bad. Things are really bad for some people. And that's been happening for at least 10 years. They've been manipulating their currency. So a country like China, we should be tariffing the crap out of. But why aren't we? Because the WEF investor class doesn't want it. Because what do they do? Since 1981, at least, open them up in the world trade. And Clinton too. It's not just one person. It's just been happening since Nixon. So investors and mutual funds and banks, they knew if they want to make money for their clients, they don't invest in Canadian manufacturing. You want to build your factory in our area? They're like, no, get out of here. There's no point. Why would we build here, right? Why would we build in Canada? We know we can do it in China where there's no labor laws and this and that, and we have like basically a wide open free trade, and they can do all kinds of sneaky things, that company, to make our clients money. I don't blame the banks. I blame the politicians, right? I don't blame companies. I blame the politicians. It all comes down to what's allowed and what's not allowed, the laws. And the laws made it incentivized for people to invest. Only investors in Canada were investing in homes, which fucks the middle class. And it ain't just us that were investing in it. Chinese companies, Indian companies, German companies, they're all investing in our housing industry because they see it going up, and it's screwing the middleman. It's screwing the average person in our country. At the same time, that average person's job was being invested by banks and rich individuals and rich companies, and where the work that blue collar guy did for his job got shipped overseas because there was incentivized to do it. We gave them a preferred status in trade. We give them preferred status on trade. Why? There's no reason to help their people. This is a politician after politician is the world politicians, right? I think that's for the UN. Put those people in the UN where that belongs. Not in your domestic politicians should not be worried about the people in China, except helping them. We should always help people. But first, we have to have a perfect utopia here. Once we build a perfect utopia, I think we should better be spreading it. We've never had a utopia here. Never will. I will eventually. Once we eliminate working for money, then it'll be. I don't think it's happened in my lifetime. But they decided to help Asia and China and build, and this has been a great thing. It actually has been a beautiful, wonderful thing, the building up of China. But it's gone to the far point where they even seen the PRC government officials have seen how stupid we are. They're like, yeah, we can take advantage of them, and they don't care because our wealthy elites weren't affected by it. Home prices going up don't affect the person who had 3 homes a couple generations ago and owned buildings. It affects them positively, not negatively. So they didn't care. And then when you get our horrible media saying populist as if it's a dirty word, well, yeah, it's time for populist ideas for the average person because we've had 2 generations, 75 years of people only giving a shit about the wealthy. Your home pricing going up. I don't. In Canada, home prices should be cheap, but they should be harder to get. That's my more opinion. Now, the way that we've created it, it's such a quagmire mess. We can't. 20% of the housing market in Canada is owned by people who own more than one home. Okay, because it's another investment vehicle. Can't blame the people. We can't hurt those people for the policies that were created by another politician. Those people did nothing wrong by investing in that. So bringing home prices down will crush those people, their whole investment, their whole dreams, and they're good people. They didn't do anything really wrong. But cumulatively, they did. Cumulatively, so you can blame a whole mass, millions, but you can't blame an individual. That's why I don't, politician to be yelling at an individual politician. It's like, man, you got to get them all in a room and yell all singularly at one time. That ain't going to happen. Good luck. But so we have a housing industry that the only way I think it is to us to work out of it, because it's been created such a problem, is we have to build our way out of it. And they have to build because I've said this so many times, but there's 2 steps that have been in my area, 2 steps of home buildership. You buy a home, your first home, and then you buy your second. The first 2 steps have been eliminated from us. We actually, you can no longer, it's $1 million for a home. So the first time home, when I first looked at a home, a shitbox home without a basement, it was $10,000, right? And save that money up in a month, buy that house, right? At least a down payment, pay it off in a few years. That's where I think we need to be first-time home Canadian. You have to be a Canadian citizen and generational Canadian. You didn't come here and you're as an immigrant. No. You don't come here as an immigrant and get these free. Forget this step. You come here as an immigrant and you can get the second tier steps, but not government. The government needs to create the cheap first-time home buyer home. Well, maybe the immigrants get involved after everything's been fixed, but right now it's such a problem. Second generation, you know what I mean? Like once you're born here, right? That to me makes more sense. How do you do that? Because we bring in so much mass immigration. It's hard to do that. It would be difficult to be able to decipher the people, but it has to be done. You have to be a naturalized Canadian citizen, one shape, way, or form, I think, to get a program. Maybe it won't work. First-time home buyers, Canadian citizen. I think that's the only way it would work. You have to have Canadian citizenship. If you're not a Canadian citizen, they should have a pilot program to get people into homes. That's it. Get people into their first-time homes. And you build these, you only allow these cheap-ass homes. First of all, simply done. You have a certain 3 different permits planned for these types of houses. 3 types of houses. That's it. So the community looks like it's like you're in one of these communities. I got a hair. So these communities, they look the same. Okay, small homes. And so people that move in these neighborhoods, they'll want to move out of them. They'll want to move out into the next level. We don't want people to stay in there. We want the people go on the housing market because it actually is a pretty good elevator for the economy. But we've eliminated the first-time home buyer because it's like you're going to be 40 years old by the time your first house. When you're 40 years old and you've never really worked on stuff before, you're a paper pusher, you're not going to work on your own home. You're not going to do big projects. You're going to pay someone else to do it. You're not going to do a lot of the things you want to, but you won't do it to the same level as a 20-year-old. The amount of 20-year-old would be like working on extending on their just easier, right? It's just common sense. So it has to be done. The Pierre, the Liberals, the NDP, none of them have a plan to help the lower tier. They're like, we're going to save the whole industry. Well, I don't want to save the guy who has a marble flooring and marble register grills. I don't want to save him to get a cheap house. Fuck him. I don't want to save the investor from China who's basically buying a property here for an investment vehicle or an escape hatch to get the hell out of their country if it hits the fan, or they say something wrong and have to like flee their country. I don't want to help them, but all of these plans are helping them. You have to only help the individuals who need it. And the government doesn't give it to the little people. This is the biggest problem they always have. They go, populist, help these people. Trickle down works. Well, we've been hearing trickle down since Clinton, and look where that's gotten us. I'm going to end on that. Trickle down society, and it's never worked. It's created more billionaires, and we have more homeless people than we've ever had in this country. Since we've been doing trickle down, where's that led? Led to one place. And now every politician, every time I hear trickle down or I hear anything like that, oops. No, I don't. Is this what? You better not be. I was going to end. I guess. I don't know what's happening here. I pressed the button. They were waiting for it, I guess. Oh, there you go.